Deduction card. The card I've extracted from Ouyang Chinhu's body is actually a deduction card. Yu Xingmo, the owner of the White River Dojo, was obsessed with studying martial arts theories and created his own martial arts. This was why the card extracted from him was the deduction card. Now, a deduction card was also extracted from Ouyang Chinhu. Was this head of the Black Tiger Gang also a genius? He had created one or multiple martial arts of his own before. It seemed like Ouyang Chinhu's ultimate technique was his own work. Outsiders did not know where it originated from. Su Jingxing decided to check on Ouyang Chinhu's background when he got back home. Su Jingxing wanted the True Energy card more, extracted from a 5th-grade martial artist. A True Energy card would contain at least 10 years of cultivation. This deduction card, compared to the one from Yu Xingmo, could only be used twice. However, the probability was higher and there was a 1/3 rate of success. Not too bad. The crematorium was very lively on this day. Everyone who came to the crematorium was surprised and delighted when they heard the news of Ouyang Chinhu's death. Happy because Ouyang Chinhu was dead. Even if the Black Tiger Gang wasn't finished, they would still split into a few smaller gangs and become a lesser danger to the people. With underground gangs, the citizenry wished for everyone, from the head of the gang to its ordinary members, to die. The most shocking thing was that an expert of Ouyang Chinhu's level was killed in 3 moves at the main entrance of the headquarters. It was simply too shocking. Nye Rencho, who killed Ouyang Chinhu, became famous after this fight. Everyone gathered to discuss Nye Rencho's background and his relationship with Ouyang Chinhu. Although they did not know the exact situation, they managed to make up a few scenes based on their imagination. After listening to them, Su Jingxing couldn't help but suspect that to be the truth. Such rumors, which were a mix of truth and lies, could be rather credible. After a day, various versions had leaked out. When it was almost time to get off work in the afternoon, the customer service office received a call, and the people were roused once again. Because Nye Rencho had attacked once more. His opponent this time was the deputy head of Radiant Sword Dojo, Shan Jiantong, a famous 6th-grade expert. He had just returned from outside in the afternoon and arrived at Radiant Sword Dojo. Nye Rencho stopped him and challenged him at the entrance of the dojo. In the end, Shan Jiantong only had time to strike once before he was killed by Nye Rencho. He killed Shan Jiantong in front of the crowds that were coming and going on the streets outside the dojo with one strike. Nye Rencho was becoming increasingly famous. Su Jingxing and Kong de Bao arrived at the scene in the corpse transportation truck. The entrance of the dojo was crowded with people. That's amazing. He decapitated the man in one strike. That Nye Rencho is definitely a 5th grade. Beyond that, in my opinion, he's more like a 4th grade. Tisk, why don't you say 3rd grade then? Who cares what grade he is? In any case, this brother is too awesome. Right, do any of you know where Nye Rencho is from? He is so powerful, why haven't we heard of him in the past? Need you ask? He must not be local. Ouyang Chinhu in the morning, Shan Jiantong in the afternoon, who do you think it will be in the evening? What do you mean? Are you saying that Nye Rencho will continue to kill? I think so. I think so too. Ahem, Nye Rencho must have a motive for killing. I'm more curious about what is the link between Ouyang Chinhu and Shan Jiantong. Why did Nye Rencho seek them out? Yeah. Why? In the crowd, discussions continued. Su Jingxing, who was working with Kong de Bao to move Dan Jiantong's corpse, couldn't help but become curious after hearing all kinds of speculations. Indeed, it was possible that Nye Rencho had killed Ouyang Chinhu for the treasure. But this move of killing Dan Jiantong was a little puzzling. Compared to Ouyang Chinhu, Shan Jiantong was an honest man who could get along with everyone. Although he was in the 6th grade, his martial talent was not that great. He was able to enter the 6th grade with persevered and consistent hard work. Why did Nye Rencho kill him? Was it as Nie Rencho had said before he made his move, that it was merely a challenge? I am Nie Rencho. Today, I challenge you to a duel to determine who is stronger and also who will live. This declaration was so well known now. It was also because of this sentence that everyone treated Nie Rencho as a martial arts fanatic. No, a sword fanatic. A warrior born for the sword, a pure swordsman. After all, the only thing that Ouyang Qinhu and Shan Jiantong had in common was that they both used swords. Ouyang Qinhu used a heavy sword while Shan Jiantong used a soft sword. Nie Rencho also used sword techniques when he attacked. So Nie Rencho is really a sword fanatic? Su Jingxing also wanted to know the answer to this question. He extracted a true energy card from Shan Jiantong's corpse. It contained only 7 years of cultivation. If Nie Rencho was really a sword fanatic, he would definitely continue to challenge experts with the sword. And with Nie Rencho's realm, only 6th grade experts would be targeted by him. If a martial artist of this realm were to die, it would be a good thing for Su Jingxing. For that. At night, Su Jingxing decided to stay in the crematorium and help the others. He would wait for news and see if Nie Rencho would continue to take action. Kong de Bao did not get off work either. After dinner, he stayed at the crematorium. The other 2 teams were the same, all were waiting for the commotion. Do you guys think Nie Rencho will attack again tonight? Feng Taijian moved close and gossiped in his idleness. As much as I'd love to say yes, it's unlikely, Gu Bo mused. Why? Kong de Bao asked curiously. It's very simple, because the Martial Suppression Office is here. Su Jingxing continued, Nie Rencho killed 2 experts in a row. We're all happy, but the entire Martial Suppression Office hates him to death. Haha, that's right. Little Su is very right. Feng Taijian clapped his hands and laughed out loud. Right now, the one who hates Nie Rencho the most is definitely the Martial Suppression Office. If Nie Rencho wants to challenge another person, he would first have to avoid the Martial Suppression Office's patrols. Well, what if Nie Rencho is not a sword fanatic and he killed Ouyang Qinhu and Shan Jiantong for something else? De Long asked. Then we can only say that the Martial Suppression Office's efforts were in vain. Nie Rencho has long fled. Feng Taijian shrugged. Of course, it could also be that he was. There's a call, it's from the customer service office. A shout suddenly came from nearby. The few people who were chatting quickly stood up. They looked into the distance and waited. Feng Taijian could not help but shout, who's calling? Calling for corpse collectors, corpse collectors. Not far away, someone answered, the deceased name is Shi Jindong from the Shi family. He's dead. He died at the entrance of the estate where his lover lives. The person who killed him was Nie Rencho. Boom. Inside and outside the long corridor, left and right, front and back. Everyone exploded into an uproar when they heard the reply. Ha ha ha, Shi Jindong, it's actually Shi Jindong. If I remember correctly, this fellow also uses a sword. That's right, Shi Jindong uses a sword. Many people in the Shi family wield swords. So Nie Rencho is really a sword fanatic? Of course. Excitement, shock, disbelief. No one expected Nie Rencho to attack again. In addition, he had even approached the Shi family, Shi Jindong. The Shi family had many ultimate techniques. What the public knew were the cold smoke mantra, the split eagle claw, and the 9-in soul-shattering sword. Among them, the 9-in soul-shattering sword was the most famous. This sword technique was aggressive and sharp. When it struck out, cold winds blew, and it was bone-chilling. Combined with the cold smoke true energy produced using the cold smoke mantra, ordinary martial artists of the same level were no match for them at all. If the sword energy were to enter one's body, it would be even more difficult to remove. With this sword technique, many members of the Shi family gained an illustrious name. Shi Jindong was one of them. Shi Jindong, who was 50 years old this year, had once defeated a 5th-grade expert from the northern district of Qinghe City with his 6th-grade realm. What he relied on was the 9-yin soul-shattering sword. It was said that although the 5th-grade expert from the northern district had won, the cold and damp sword energy had entered his body, causing him to suffer a freezing torture day and night. Now that Shi Jindong had been killed by Nie Renqiu, it had undoubtedly highlighted Nie Renqiu's might. The crematorium was in an uproar. Su Jingxing looked for Feng Taijian and took the truck to the scene. Feng Taijian thought that Su Jingxing wanted to watch the show in person, so he didn't think too much about it. At this moment, he was also inexplicably excited. Little did he know that Su Jingxing was going there to extract cards. This was a corpse of a Shi family member. If they do not beat the Shi family to it, they would take the corpse back. From an outsider's point of view, the Shi family was seeking for traces from the wounds to find the culprit. But Su Jingxing knew that tracking down the murderer was only a part of the reason. It was more for the bloodline. The 3-yin candle's blood. Was the Shi family bringing the corpse back for fear that the 3-yin candle's blood would leak out? Or to test the purity and concentration of the bloodline? Su Jingxing didn't know nor care about these things. The reason why he was rushing to the scene in advance was to extract the bloodline card. Then, he would unlock it, obtain the blood pearl, and feed it to Thunderbolt so that this blood spirit weapon could recover sooner. He went at the right time. By the time the corpse transportation truck arrived at the scene, the Shi family had already packed up Shi Jindong's body and were preparing to leave. Corpse discovered. Would you like to extract it? Yes. Su Jingxing leaned against the front of the car and replied inwardly. He stared as the Shi family's vehicle slowly accelerated and disappeared from his sight. F***ck, if I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have come. Feng Taijian kicked the tire of the truck, looking gloomy. The Shi family is really fast. The driver sighed in agreement. Heh, so what if they're fast? Shi Jindong is already dead, and everyone knows who killed him. Nie Renqiu. If they have the capabilities, they should find Nie Renqiu. Feng Tiejian's partner sneered. Speaking of Nie Renqiu, this brother is really amazing. He doesn't seem to be in the 6th grade at all. He's more like a 4th grade. After venting his anger, Feng Taijian regained his vigor and gloated, do you think he will continue to approach people from the Shi family? The Shi family has many experts who use swords like Shi Jindong. I don't think so. The driver shrugged. If it were me, I would continue to approach the Shi family members. His partner said seriously and analyzed, think about it. According to cognitive inertia, since the Martial Suppression Office, the Shi family, and the Radiant Sword Dojo are all looking for Nie Renqiu, under normal circumstances, Nie Renqiu would go into hiding. But if Nie Renqiu doesn't do that and instead takes the opportunity to go to them, the Shi family will definitely be caught off guard. As long as Nie Renqiu is fast enough, he can still escape easily after killing 1 or 2 more people. That's right. Feng Taijian clapped his hands and said excitedly, it's really like that. That is very possible. Looks like tonight will be lively. Su Jingxing was speechless. It was indeed very possible for what Feng Tiejian's partner had analyzed to happen. But Su Jingxing could not stick with them anymore. After a busy day and staying behind for half a night, it would be conspicuous if he still did not go home to sleep. This was not the way to watch a show. After all, no matter who Nie Renqiu wanted to kill, it had nothing to do with Su Jingxing on the surface. To Kong Debao, Feng Taijian, and the rest, Nie Renqiu's mass killing was nothing more than a very interesting topic of conversation. Hence, Su Jingxing followed the truck back to the crematorium and knocked off. Of course, before he left, he asked Feng Taijian, who was on duty, to drop him a message if Nie Renqiu continued to kill people in the latter half of the night. Asking for a call would make him appear excessively concerned, but a text message was fine. Compared to Earth, on Earth Star, crematoriums would be the first to receive the news if any person had died. The people at the bottom rungs did not care about any grudges. They only knew that when corpses appeared, they had to be cremated as soon as possible. Otherwise, if they were unlucky and the corpse-raising devil insect egg had gotten into the corpses immediately and turned them into corpse puppets, those suffering the most casualties would be ordinary people like them. This was one of the reasons why Su Jingxing chose to stay in the crematorium. News at the crematorium was the fastest and most convenient. They also had the most news. Back at the small courtyard at the foot of the mountain, Su Jingxing ate a pill to relieve his fatigue and replenish his energy. Then, he took out the card that he had extracted from Shi Jindong's corpse and held it in his hand to read the information. It was indeed a bloodline card. He fed the bean-sized blood pearl that he obtained from unlocking the card to Thunderbolt. Immediately after, he sensed the recovery speed of this blood spirit weapon. It was still far from enough. Fortunately, Su Jingxing was mentally prepared and didn't feel discouraged. He put away Thunderbolt and continued to bring out cards. The deduction card he got from Ouyang Qinhu. Unlocking it, he deduced the saber control with energy section of the colossal divine dagger. Although the success rate of deducing the Earth origin section of the three origin saber art was higher, till now, the saber control with energy section of the colossal divine dagger had helped Su Jingxing even more. The Earth origin volume of the three origin saber art was more suited for fighting in the wilderness. In the city, throwing daggers were more suitable. This was why Su Jingxing chose the colossal divine dagger after comparing them. In the end, not only had he successfully deduced the energy section, he had also obtained a portion of the mind section. The reason why it was so efficient was because the three sections of the colossal divine dagger were written on the same foundation. The difference was mainly in the way one exerted one's strength, true energy and mental power. The same went for the three sections of the three origin saber art. Su Jingxing was very satisfied with this. Now that he had obtained the energy section, he had to buy a throwing dagger. Seeing that there was still time, Su Jingxing immediately changed into his equipment, got the dirty money, and headed straight to the black market. He found a weapon shop and bought 3 treasure-throwing daggers. As the throwing daggers were smaller, the price was lower. 3 treasure-throwing daggers cost a total of $8,880,000. The $10 million of dirty money that Wan Rong left behind was used up. In this aspect, Su Jingxing was very grateful to him. The money for a treasure saber and 3 treasure-throwing daggers were all paid by Wan Rong. He was a good person. Back at the small courtyard at the foot of the mountain, Su Jingxing controlled 3 throwing daggers and practiced the energy section of the colossal divine dagger. Due to the foundation laid down by the strength section, by daybreak, his mastery of the energy section had successfully reached the introductory stage. He put away the throwing daggers and washed up. Just as he left the bathroom, his phone rang. Su Jingxing picked up the call. Ha, little Su, are you up yet? Let me tell you some shocking news. Nye Rencho killed another 5th grade expert. Not 6th grade, but 5th grade. Almost every 5th grade expert was a leader, chief, or boss of a faction. Nye Rencho evaded the investigations by the Martial Suppression Office, the Shi family, and the Radiant Sword Dojo. Now that he had killed another 5th grade expert early in the morning, it would be strange if it wasn't breaking news. I'll be there right away. After hanging up the call, Su Jingxing quickly pulled on his clothes, grabbed a slice of bread as breakfast, and went straight to the crematorium. In the early morning, the crematorium would usually be very quiet, but today, it was especially lively. Nye Rencho had attacked again and successfully escaped after. Everyone was especially excited. The person who died this time was, as everyone had guessed, still a sword expert. Nye Rencho's title of a sword fanatic was firmly cemented. The person who died was called Ma Xingyang. He was the general manager of Tai Long Corporation's Qinghe City branch office. The Tai Long Corporation was a famous corporation in Changyang Prefecture. Its headquarters was located in the prefecture city. Even though the branch office in Qinghe City was just a branch office, it was still very powerful. As the general manager, Ma Xingyang was a frequent guest of the city guard office. He was their distinguished guest. With his realm in the 5th grade, he had never slipped up. Yet this morning, he died under Nie Rencho's sword. It was truly shocking. Regarding this, the people had more and more guesses about Nie Rencho's true realm. Was he a 6th grade? Or a 5th grade? Corpse discovered. Would you like to extract it? Yes. In the morgue, Su Jingxing, who had rushed here, glanced at Ma Xingyang's corpse and responded inwardly. Unexpected, isn't it? He, no one expected Nie Rencho to go to Ma Xingyang instead of people from the Shi family. Feng Taijian stood to the side and winked. Now that Nie Rencho has made his move again, the Shi family and the Martial Suppression Office are probably hopping mad. This is totally a slap on their faces. As far as I know, the Shi family and Martial Suppression Office searched the entire city last night. They mobilized all their manpower to search for Nie Rencho through the night. In the end, in the early morning Nie Rencho stopped Ma Xingyang, who was heading out, and killed him on the street. I heard that when Ma Xingyang saw Nie Rencho, he was completely stunned. Faced with Nie Rencho's sudden attack, he only had enough time to block 2 moves before Nie Rencho pierced through his heart with a single strike. He did not die in peace. Are you saying that Ma Xingyang and Nie Rencho know each other? Su Jingxing raised his eyebrows. Who knows? Feng Taijian shrugged his shoulders and spread out his hands. It was just hearsay. Not many people know if it's true or not. When Nie Rencho appeared, the people nearby didn't react at all. Only when he killed Ma Xingyang did they cry out in alarm and call the crematorium. Then it's probably fake, Su Jingxing muttered. Sigh, who cares whether it's true or false? Feng Taijian waved his hand and said dismissively, whether Ma Xingyang knows Nie Rencho or not doesn't matter anymore. He's already dead. Whether they're acquainted or not, it's all in the past. You're right. Su Jingxing smiled. Inwardly, he had already prepared himself for this. Nie Rencho had appeared too suddenly. He had jumped out without any prior warning. Furthermore, he had killed Ouyang Qinhu in a single strike. His identity and background were extremely mysterious. Su Jingxing had a feeling that Nie Rencho had his motives for coming to Qinghe City. And it wasn't just like what the masses thought, that he was a sword fanatic who specially sought out experts to challenge them for his path of the sword. Of course. It was a good thing for Su Jingxing that Nie Rencho was killing these people. After leaving the morgue, he found a remote corner and took out the card he had extracted from Ma Xingyang's corpse. Holding it in his hand, he read the information. A skill card. Unlocking it, he obtained a martial art, the Ghost Python breath-holding technique. The Ghost Python was a kind of cold and terrifying mutated beast. In its dormant state, it was no different from an inanimate object. The Ghost Python breath-holding technique was an ultimate technique that was simulated based on this mutated beast. Once mastered, one would be able to control his aura, martial arts vital energy, flow of true energy, and even his normal breathing and heartbeat. This martial art was extremely helpful in hiding and ambushing. Although only the first half of the volume was available, Su Jingxing was still overjoyed. Without it, it would be very troublesome for Su Jingxing to control his 60 years of true energy cultivation. He had to split half of his attention to restrain it all day so that no one would notice. Furthermore, this was not a situation where he had to make a move. Once he were to do so and circulate his true energy, he would be exposed immediately. There would be no way to bring it back under control. The acquisition of the Ghost Python breath-holding technique had come at a perfect time. It was simply a pleasant surprise. Good man. Like Wan Rong, Nye Rencho is also a good man. Su Jingxing sighed with emotion. He could not be bothered to guess Nye Rencho's motive for coming to Qinghe City anymore. Who cares what he would do, as long as this sword fanatic continued to challenge martial artists in the middle ranks and kill 6th grade and 5th grade experts. To Su Jingxing, it would be a free lunch. True energy card, bloodline card, skill card. The more the better. Su Jingxing looked forward to it. Unfortunately, before noon, they received news that Nye Rencho had been defeated. A commissioner of defense of the Martial Suppression Office tracked down Nye Rencho. The two of them had a battle beside an amusement park. Nye Rencho was no match for him and was heavily injured. He fled in a sorry state. Feng Taijian stood in the crowd and explained excitedly with great gestures. That's a pity. The Commissioner of Defense is also a 5th grade martial artist. If Nye Rencho were to launch a surprise attack, he would probably succeed. Someone sighed. You're thinking too much. It's not like everyone in the 5th grade is the same. Some people are very capable, some not so much. Forget about everything else, a Commissioner of Defense from the Martial Suppression Office is definitely an expert among experts. It is reasonable that Nye Rencho was defeated by him. Right, if the Martial Suppression Office isn't a match for him, then we'll have to be careful. Who knows if Nye Rencho will attack us ordinary people if he goes berserk from killing. That's right. Nye Rencho killed Ouyang Qinhu, Shi Jindong, Shan Jiantong, and Ma Xingyang. He has made a name for himself, a killing. The casualties of the upper echelons were just a show worth watching for the lower echelons. But the Martial Suppression Office was different. The Martial Suppression Office was a shield, wall, and a giant blade that protected the people's peaceful lives. With this blade, shield, and wall, the people below would be able to sleep in peace. If the shield cracks, the wall collapses, and the blade breaks, it would definitely cause panic. Everyone in the city would panic. So, Nye Rencho's defeat at the hands of the Commissioner of Defense was a good thing for the public. While Su Jingxing found it a pity, he didn't take it to heart. A single ghost python breath-holding technique was already a great harvest, let alone the rest. Instead, it was Feng Taijian who would sigh from time to time. Without a topic of conversation, he became bored again and thought about playing all day long. 3 days after Nye Rencho was heavily injured and went into hiding, an annual festival was held in the Cloud Sea Square in the Central District. This fellow forcefully dragged Su Jingxing, Gu Bo, Kong Debao, and the rest of Team 1 who were on leave to join in the fun. After shopping for half an hour, Su Jingxing made an excuse of having a stomachache and went home. Without the martial arts practice card, it would take time to master the ghost python breath-holding technique. For the past few days, Su Jingxing had been practicing this martial art day and night, but he was still a step away from the introductory state. He had no time to waste on playing. In the end, he had just returned to his small courtyard at the foot of the mountain when he received a group message on his phone. A corpse puppet has suddenly appeared in Cloud Sea Square. A corpse puppet? Cloud Sea Square is holding an annual festival. There are more than 100,000 people there. Now a corpse puppet has appeared. Fake news. This was the first thought that flashed through Su Jingxing's mind after he saw the message. But it was quickly ruled out, because the sender was the city guard office. The number was indeed an emergency notification number. Team leader Gu and the rest are in danger. This was Su Jingxing's second thought after seeing the words, corpse puppet. Gu Bo, Kong Debao, and the others were still at Cloud Sea Square. Now that a corpse puppet had appeared, Gu Bo and company were immediately put in danger. Including the hundreds of thousands of people at Cloud Sea Plaza and the nearby streets, everyone was facing death. Great! This was Su Jingxing's third thought as he stared at the words, corpse puppet. There was a high chance of extracting martial arts practice cards after killing the corpse puppet. With the martial arts practice card, he would be able to quickly master the ghost python breath-holding technique and the energy section of the colossal divine dagger. These three thoughts flashed through his mind. In the next second, Su Jingxing took out a cloak and a mask from his palm space and quickly put them on. He executed the 8 steps rising dragon to soar into the sky. Cloud C square. It was already chaos. Screams, angry roars, shrieks, and cries could be heard everywhere. The festival was halfway through when a corpse puppet rushed out of the mall. The moment it appeared, it dismembered a dozen people. The bloody, brutal, and horrifying scene was displayed on the huge screens on both sides of the square. The sight shook everyone. More than 100,000 people instantly became a mess as they fled in all directions. Their screams echoed through the sky. The security guards in the square and the security team responsible for the venue were scattered by the panicking crowd before they could make a move. The same went for Gu Bo, Kong Debao, Feng Taijian, and the others. Before they could recover from their shock, they had already charged in all directions along with the screaming crowd. When Kong Debao passed by a corner, someone pushed him from behind. He sprained his ankle and fell to the ground. In his flurry, he couldn't care less about the pain. He hurriedly dragged his leg and quickly crawled on the ground. He hid in a corner and pressed himself against the wall, allowing the crowd to rush past him. He did not dare to move or make a sound. Roar! Yet a beast-like snarl slowly approached him. The corpse puppet with disheveled hair and a hunched body was crazily killing. Like a cheetah, it chased after the fleeing crowd, leaving broken limbs everywhere it passed. The repulsive smell of blood spread and lingered in the air. "Don't come here, don't come here, don't come here." Kong Debao, who was pressed into a corner and didn't dare to move, kept his eyes fixed on the corpse puppet as he prayed inwardly. However, the more he prayed, the closer the corpse puppet got. What to do? What to do? What to do? Kong Debao's entire body was trembling, and his heart was pounding so hard that it seemed like it was going to jump out of his throat. Despair filled his eyes. 50 meters, 30 meters, 20 meters, 10 meters. Close, even closer now. Bam! There was a sudden loud bang in the sky. The despaired Kong Debao subconsciously looked up into the sky. In his field of vision, he saw a huge, silver-black, translucent fist imprint explode the air and descend from the sky. Boom! The earth shook and dust billowed. Under Kong Debao's astonished gaze, the silver-black fist imprint that fell from the sky accurately struck the corpse puppet, smashing this monster controlled by the corpse-raising devil insect egg into the ground. The terrifying force created a huge pit with a radius of 3 meters. The edge of the pit was full of cracks that extended for more than 10 meters. One of the cracks just so happened to brush past Kong Debao's feet. Kong Debao was dumbstruck and forgot everything. He stood rooted to the ground in a daze as he stared blankly at the figure that descended from midair. He had a blank gaze, shocked, speechless. Corpse discovered. Would you like to extract it? Yes. Corpse discovered. Would you like to extract it? Yes. Corpse. Too many people had died, and everywhere the corpse puppet had passed, there were incomplete corpses. Before Su Jingxing had landed on the ground, notifications for extraction were popping up. Su Jingxing responded to them as he approached the large pit where the corpse puppet was. Parasitic worm zombie discovered. Would you like to extract it? Yes. There was no change in his expression. Su Jingxing looked down at the corpse puppet at the bottom of the pit. Right now, the incomparably solid and invulnerable body of the corpse puppet had already shattered into pieces. A year's cultivation of the heaven-trampling true energy weighed around 1,000 caddies. Su Jingxing was afraid of unexpected situations just now, so he had unleashed all his cultivation. He gathered all 60 years of true energy in his fist and released the 100 steps raining fist. A year carried 1,000 caddies. 60 years would make 60,000 caddies, multiplied by another 7 times. Nearly 400,000 caddies of strength. Falling from 200 meters up in the air, under the acceleration of gravity, no matter how sturdy the corpse puppet's body was, it could not withstand the impact and shattered into pieces on the spot. Even so, this corpse puppet, who was obviously a woman, was still alive. On the remaining half of its face, its mouth was still opening and closing, biting the air. Its pale pupils shone with a deathly light. Extraterrestrial devil insect. After mumbling to himself, Su Jingxing did not stay any longer. Pushing on the tip of his toes, he soared into the sky and used the 8 steps rising dragon to soar into the clouds. Accompanied by a dragon's cry, he disappeared into the horizon. In the square. The crowd who had fallen behind that were screaming in panic and trying their best to escape now stood rooted to the ground and looked into the sky. For a long time, no one made a sound. Too fast. From the appearance of the corpse puppet to the frenzied slaughter, to the loud bang in the air, and then to killing the corpse puppet with one punch, the entire process took at most 5 minutes. Countless people had died under the claws of this corpse puppet in these 5 minutes. The people who had escaped the calamity were extremely agitated. They did not know how to express their emotions regarding the corpse puppet and the experts who had appeared in time to save them. Hundreds of people stood rooted to the ground with blank looks in silent shock. It was not until the sound of helicopters came from the sky and a dozen figures leaping from the roofs of the buildings on all sides of the square that the crowd came back to their senses. At the next moment, cries and shouts filled the air. Hundreds of people who had escaped death collapsed onto the ground, crying and screaming to vent their emotions. The experts from the Martial Suppression Office led by Li Linzhou arrived at the edge of the corpse puppet pit. A group of people surrounded the 2-meter-deep pit and silently looked at the corpse puppet that was in a dozen pieces but still opening and closing its mouth. In the small courtyard at the foot of the mountain, Su Jingxing landed on the ground. Just as he removed his cloak and mask, the phone in his pocket rang. He picked up the call. "Little Su, where are you now? Are you still at the Cloud Sea Square?" "No, I just got home," Su Jingxing replied. The call was from the manager in charge of the corpse collection teams at the crematorium. That's good, that's good." The manager on the other end of the phone heaved a sigh of relief when he heard this. Then, he anxiously asked, "Did you know that a corpse puppet appeared in Cloud Sea Square?" Without waiting for Su Jingxing's reply, the manager continued, "Now the corpse puppet has been eliminated, the higher-ups have ordered us to go to Cloud Sea Square immediately and move the corpses back to the crematorium to cremate. I'll head to the intersection right now." Su Jingxing interrupted. Beep, beep. The line went dead. Without any hesitation, Su Jingxing put away his phone and placed his cloak and mask back into his palm space. He took out the card extracted from the corpse puppet and held it in his hand. As he walked out, he read the information. Martial arts practice card. As expected, it was another martial arts practice card. Furthermore, it had an exceptionally long practice time of 16 years. What is going on? Su Jingxing had roughly figured out that the practice time of a martial arts practice card had to do with how long the corpse had been controlled. Just like the barbarians controlled by Duan Feihong's gang. The longer one had been controlled, the longer the practice time in the martial arts practice card extracted. And vice versa. This martial arts practice card came from the corpse puppet in the Cloud Sea Square. It had only appeared for less than 5 minutes, so why did this martial arts practice card extracted from it contain 16 years of practice time? Was this corpse puppet also under the control of others for many years before its death? Like Wang Yuning, the student who committed suicide by jumping off a building, it had never been free. This is why it contained 16 years of practice time. Su Jingxing put the card away as he pondered and rushed to the intersection. After waiting at the intersection for half a minute, he got on the corpse transportation truck and headed straight for the square. Dead people. Dead people everywhere. The corpse puppet raid killed more than 500 people in a few minutes. More than 500 people were also injured or trampled to death by the hundreds of thousands of people running around in panic. Therefore, when Su Jingxing arrived at the center of Cloud Sea Square with the truck, everywhere in sight was full of injured people and incomplete corpses. 10 ambulances couldn't even manage, and 5 corpse transportation trucks were moving in and out. Gu Bo, Feng Taijian, and the other members of Team 1 who were not injured did not have time to rest. Together with Su Jingxing and the other corpse collection teams who had rushed here, they started to move the corpses. It was mainly gathering a complete corpse and putting it into a corpse bag. The corpse puppet was quick and fierce. With one charge, it dismembered more than 10 people. What Su Jingxing and the others had to do was to find the scattered corpse pieces and piece them back together. Then, toss them into the corpse transportation truck to be brought back to the crematorium. Once there, do a simple documentation of particulars and send them to the incinerator, turning them into ashes. There was no time for farewell ceremonies. No one knew how many corpse-raising devil insect eggs were lying in ambush in the Cloud Sea Square. This single translucent little creature like a tadpole could turn a corpse into a corpse puppet. If there were still remnants of the corpse-raising devil insect eggs left in the mall and they crawl into the corpses on the square after smelling the blood, that would be a disaster. Therefore, the city guard office ordered that all the corpses must be cremated within 36 hours. There were 2 crematoriums in Qinghe City. A big one in the Western District and a small one over in the Eastern District. Originally, the Eastern District's crematorium was only responsible for the bodies from the district and the university town. This time, the 2 crematoriums worked together. The corpse collection teams, the information registration offices, the customer service offices, the transport teams. Everyone was mobilized. After working hard for a day and 2 nights, they finally sent all the corpses into the incinerator and turned them into ashes. These ashes would then be brought back by their respective relatives to bid farewell or be buried. As for whether there were any mistakes made, it was not important. Ever since the arrival of the extraterrestrial devil insect, every major city in Earth Star had encountered tragedies caused by corpse puppets every year. The number of casualties ranged from the hundreds to the thousands. The people were already used to it. Why did everyone on Earth Star worship the strong and wish to become a martial artist? This was the reason. When corpse puppets appeared in the city, ordinary people could only wait for death if they couldn't escape in time. Martial artists were different. Even if they were no match for the corpse puppets, they could still put up some resistance and escape in time. The corpse puppet's speed was like that of cheetahs, and ordinary firearms could not hit them at all. Even if they did, it would not break through their solid bodies. It is different this time. In the dormitory, Su Jingxing, Feng Taijian, and the other members of Team 1 were looking at Kong de Bao with an ankle injury, who was lying on the bed and resting. Suddenly, someone walked in. Wu Shuhan. As the director of the crematorium walked, he said in a low voice, "The corpse puppet this time is already confirmed to be one at the intermediate level. Compared to low-level corpse puppets, it is faster and tougher. We can say that we were quite lucky to be able to kill it." There happened to be a 4th-grade expert near Cloud Sea Square who heard the commotion and rushed over in time to kill the corpse puppet. Otherwise, the number of deaths this time would be far more than 1,000. The dormitory was silent. Kong de Bao, Feng Taijian, Gu Bo, and the others were shocked. Intermediate-level corpse puppet. It was no wonder that its destructive power was so terrifying. In a single charge, it could kill and injure a dozen people. It turned out that the level of the corpse-raising devil insect egg that manipulated the corpse puppet this time was of an even higher level. That's right, there were different levels to the corpse-raising devil insect eggs. In most cases, the corpse devil insect eggs that appeared were all low-level. For example, the Mei Jinju that Su Jingxing and Gu Bo encountered the last time was a low-level corpse puppet. Above low level were the intermediate and advanced levels. Martial artists in the lower ranks were simply no match for corpse puppets at the intermediate level. Only martial artists in the middle ranks who have cultivated true energy can take care of them. If not dealt with in time, an intermediate-level corpse puppet could cause tens of thousands of casualties. As for advanced-level corpse puppets, UNation had yet to see one, but they have appeared in other countries. One appearance had killed and injured hundreds of thousands. In the end, it took the joint efforts of several second-grade powerhouses to finish it. So, it was truly lucky that the intermediate-level corpse puppets had been dealt with in 5 minutes after it appeared in Cloud C Square. Coincidentally, there was a 4th grade expert in the vicinity. So he's a 4th grade. I was wondering why he was so powerful. He killed the corpse puppet with one punch. Feng Taijian came back to his senses and murmured emotionally. That's right. With an intermediate-level corpse puppet, a 6th grade martial artist can at most draw it away, a 5th grade one can occupy it. But only a 4th grade expert can kill it with one punch. Gu Bo sighed. I saw that 4th grade expert. Kong de Bao, who had his legs crossed, said rather excitedly, you guys didn't see. At that time, I was only 10 meters away from him. I saw him descend from the sky and kill the corpse puppet with one punch. That posture, that imposing manner, that aura, he was simply amazing. Is that so? Quickly, tell me, what does that 4th grade expert look like? Feng Tiejian's eyes lit up when he heard this. Male or female? Tall or short? Fat or thin? The others also looked curious and pricked up their ears in interest. A male. He's very tall and muscular. Kong de Bao gestured with his hands and said excitedly, as for his looks, he's exceptionally handsome, elegant and charming with an impressive presence. I can guarantee that any woman who sees him will instantly fall in love with him. Really? Cough cough. Su Jingxing couldn't help but cough and interrupt him. The director is here. Aren't you guys going to greet him? As a 4th grade expert, who was exceptionally handsome with an impressive presence, Su Jingxing had to remind them. Haha, no need for that, no need for that. When Wu Shuhan heard this, he waved his hand and said with a smile, we're meeting in private. There's no need to greet me. Other than visiting de Bao, I just wanted to share that we've investigated the background of this corpse puppet. That's great. Feng Taijian clapped his hands and asked, Uncle Wu, quickly tell us who it was. Who was this corpse puppet when she was alive? And who killed her? Ko Wenji. Wu Shuhan said in a deep voice, the corpse puppet was called Ko Wenji when she was alive. She committed S***icide. What? S***icide? Gu Bo, Feng Taijian, and Kong de Bao were stunned. Su Jingxing raised his eyebrows. That's right, it was S***icide. Wu Shuhan continued, Ko Wenji left behind a video that recorded her S***icide and the reason. Reason? What was the reason? Kong de Bao couldn't help but ask. Revenge. Revenge? Yes, revenge. Wu Shuhan took a deep breath and explained, Ko Wenji was a salesperson at Cloud C Mall. Because she was pretty, she was picked out by the general manager of the mall, Shi Yenny, and was promoted to be the team manager. That's right. It's exactly as you think. Shi Yenny is a member of the Shi family. The Shi family owns half of the shares of Cloud C Mall. Shi Yenny was the assistant manager at first, but later on, he became the general manager because he made many contributions. Although this Shi Yenny is only 30 years old, he is quite talented in business. Under his leadership, Cloud C Mall surpassed Tai Long Mall, Blue Sky Mall, and Dragon Rock Mall in just 2 years, becoming the top square of Qinghe City. He comes from a good family, has good looks, talent, and is not weak in martial arts. Such a person naturally attracts women. Kowenji was just one of them. Compared to Shi Yenni's other women, Kowenji worshipped him the most. She was willing to do anything for Shi Yenni, even if it meant sleeping with other men. When Shi Yenni discovered this, he quickly turned Kowenji into his puppet. No, more accurately, his slave. I won't go into the details. In any case, Kowenji was under Shi Yenni's control for as long as 8 years. Until last month, when Kowenji was ordered by Shi Yenni to play games with 5 men, one of the men used too much strength. He broke one of her arms and ruined her face. Only then did Shi Yenni abandon her. It was raining heavily in the middle of the night. Kowenji, who was lying on the street, was suddenly enlightened and finally woke up. So she started her revenge after she woke up? Kong de Bao asked softly. Yes. Wu Shuhan sighed. Kowenji knows that she was not Shi Yenni's match, nor can she get close to him. She could not poison him even if she wanted to. There was only one way. Turn into a corpse puppet. Feng Taijian couldn't help but interrupt. Damn, she turned herself into a corpse puppet in order to take revenge on Shi Yenni? Doesn't this foolish woman know that her actions will implicate many innocent people? You already said that she's a fool. Why would she care about others? Wu Shuhan calmly narrated, in order to take revenge on Shi Yenni, Kowenji didn't care about anything else. After staying with Shi Yenni for so many years, she had long figured out his routines. She couldn't get close to him, but she could still plant a bomb beside him. Kowenji calculated Shi Yenni's daily schedule and hid under the bed in the lounge in his office at night. She then consumed poison to kill herself. Before she did that, he even sprayed odorless deodorant on her body to cover up her corpse stench. Shi Yenni has been busy with the festival these past 2 days. He rarely went into the lounge, and when he did, he fell asleep once his head touched the pillow. Therefore, he didn't find Kowenji's body under his bed. Until the corpse-raising devil insect egg found her and turned her corpse into a corpse puppet. The dormitory fell silent. Both Kong de Bao and Gu Bo remained silent after hearing the whole story. Was Kowenji pitiful? Of course. But in order to take revenge on Shi Yenni, she had implicated close to 1,000 people today. It was impossible to account for this. The cause at the bottom of it all was Shi Yenni. Shi Yenni was the source of this disaster. That be asterisk starred. Kong de Bao couldn't help but curse. None of the martial families are good. Perhaps we should be more straightforward. If Shi Yenni had directly killed Kowenji back then, so many people wouldn't have died today, Gu Bo said softly. That's right. Kowenji's death is not to be regretted, and Shi Yenni should get a miserable death. This fellow, being quickly dismembered by the corpse puppet is still too easy on him. Feng Taijian said indignantly. Shi Yenni is still alive, Wu Shuhan said calmly. What? Shi Yenni didn't die. How is that possible? Didn't Kowenji become an intermediate-level corpse puppet? How could she have failed to kill Shi Yenni? Or is Shi Yenni a 5th-grade expert? Feng Taijian, Kong de Bao, and the others cried out in disbelief. Su Jingxing recalled Wu Shuhan's words and asked in surprise, did Kowenji already know that even if she turned into a corpse puppet, she might not be able to kill Shi Yenni? What do you mean? Feng Taijian was puzzled. Confusion covered the faces of Kong de Bao and the others. Little Su guessed right. Wu Shuhan looked at Su Jingxing appreciatively and said in a low voice, that's right. Kowenji knew that even if she becomes a corpse puppet, she might not kill Shi Yenni. After all, when she became a corpse puppet, it's unlikely that Shi Yenni would so coincidentally be sleeping in the lounge. And that's the reality. When Kowenji turned into a corpse puppet and rushed out of the lounge, Shi Yenni was having tea in a tea house beside the square and admiring the festival he planned. It was very successful. Ko Wenji's real killing move was that she implicated many innocent people after turning into a corpse puppet. Shi Yenny will be blamed for this crime. And what Ko Wenji wants is to use this crime to force the Martial Suppression Office and even Li Linzhou to personally come forward and kill Shi Yenny. TSS. Gasps sounded in the dormitory. Other than Su Jingxing, everyone else was stunned. So ruthless. Too ruthless. How was Ko Wenji crazy? She was clearly a genius lunatic. For revenge against Shi Yenny, she did not hesitate to commit S***icide and turn into a corpse puppet, killing thousands of innocent people. Then, she left behind video evidence and forced the Martial Suppression Office and even Li Linzhou to take action. What about the Shi family? Recalling Shi Yenny's identity, Feng Taijian forced himself to calm down and asked, "Uncle Wu, has Shi Yenny been hidden away by the Shi family?" "Yes." Wu Shuhan nodded. Shi Yenny is missing and Ko Wenji's plan has also succeeded. When I was on my way here, I received news that Li Linzhou has personally led a team to the Shi family. The Shi family's residence. More than 100 Martial Suppression Office elites in uniforms surrounded Li Linzhou. They stood in the courtyard of the Shi family and confronted its members. At the front of the two groups were Li Linzhou and Shi Jinyan. Li Linzhou, who was dressed in casual clothes, had his hands behind his back. He said calmly, "Patriarch Shi, hand over Shi Yenny and this matter will end here." "Sigh, to be honest, I don't know where Shi Yenny has run off to or where he is hiding. If I knew, I would have sent this B***starred to the Martial Suppression Office." Shi Jinyan sighed and said helplessly, "If you don't believe me, you can search as you please. If you find that B***starred, you don't have to do anything. I'll execute him myself." Li Linzhou remained calm and ordered, "Search." "Yes." The elites from the Martial Suppression Office behind him immediately spread out and began to search the entire compound of the Shi family. During the process, even though the Shi family members looked indignant, they did not stop them. Half an hour later, the search ended. "Sir, we didn't find him." An expert from the Martial Suppression Office reported to Li Linzhou. "See, I didn't lie to you, did I?" Shi Jinyan looked at Li Linzhou sincerely. The latter remained silent. The next second, he turned around and left. "Let's go." The elites from the Martial Suppression Office followed Li Linzhou and left the Shi family estate. Shi Jinyan led the Shi family members to see them out. Only when everyone vanished from sight did his expression recover its calm, and he said indifferently, "How is it?" "Everything is going according to plan." In order to guard against the appearances of corpse puppets that would result in disasters, every country on Earth Star had a 99% mature supervision system. Under this system, the governments were supervising, the martial artists were supervising, and the people were supervising. This was especially true for the lower-class citizens. They had the biggest numbers and were the most threatened. They were also the most active in their actions. Not everyone who wanted to take revenge on society could successfully become a corpse puppet by hiding and committing S***icide. Ko Wenji's situation was an exception. Because this woman had cut off all ties with her family for Shi Yenny's sake before she sobered up. Her colleagues in Cloud Sea Mall also looked down on her. Coincidences and luck both played a part in Ko Wenji's success. Unlike Mei Jinju, it was Zhou Hongsong who had deliberately guided her. Human society never lacked conspirators and ambitious people. This is why the supervision system was not 100% mature. In addition, unlike Earth, on planet Earth, every time a corpse puppet caused casualties in the city, the officials would publicize the process to alert and warn the public. The same went for this tragedy that Ko Wenji had caused. After Li Linzhou and his subordinates made a fruitless visit to the Shi family, the case was reported on television, the web, radio, and newspapers that night. The Shi family held a press conference to explain that they were also looking for Shi Yenny. Once they find him, they would execute him publicly. However, there was barely any effect. Few people believed them. Overwhelming rebukes rained onto the Shi family overnight. The Shi family's businesses were being widely boycotted. Some of their shops were even wrecked and struck by feces by the relatives of the deceased who died in this incident. The Shi family's reputation fell to rock bottom at once. Apart from insisting that they did not know anything and cooperating with the officials to find Shi Yenny, the Shi family did not do anything else. Their shops were destroyed, their tires slashed, and their entrance was splashed with feces. They did not pursue all these matters. This attitude made many people believe that they really didn't know anything. The public opinion started to slowly calm down and the heat eased. Of course, people were still cursing, especially in the crematorium, which never stopped. But soon, an accident caused everyone in the crematorium to shift their attention. Gu Bo's 5-year-old daughter had gone missing. As a longtime employee of the crematorium, Gu Bo knew every employee in the crematorium. He was close to everyone. His 5-year-old daughter, Gu Duo, had also attended some private gatherings with Gu Bo and had met many people. Although the little girl was mischievous, she was kind and cute, and everyone loved her. Su Jingxing had an agreement with the little girl to give her a live squirrel on her birthday. Now she had suddenly gone missing. Gu Bo was not the only one who was panicking. Everyone in the crematorium was also anxious. They got the people around them to search for clues and the little girl. Su Jingxing did the same. At night, he returned to his small courtyard at the foot of the mountain after work and went online to search for traces. The place where Gu Duo had gone missing was the playground next to the estate where she lived. Her grandmother took her there. The old lady had been keeping an eye on her. To give way to a couple of rowdy kids, she looked away and shifted her position. However, in less than 3 seconds that this happened, Gu Duo was gone. The old lady called out first, then went forward and entered the playground. After searching for a long time, she did not see Gu Duo. It was as if the little girl had suddenly evaporated. When Gu Bo and his wife rushed here, the people at the playground hurriedly cooperated to search for her. But it was too late. Gu Duo was missing. Through the web, Su Jingxing first hacked into the surveillance cameras near the playground. After a round of searching, he realized that there were many blind spots that couldn't be captured on the surveillance cameras. He had no choice but to check the surveillance footage of the streets and alleys around the playground, but he still did not find anything. However, while he searched for traces online, he found that many people had gone missing every year. Most of these people were women. They were of all ages. After they went missing, their family members posted requests for help online. They were willing to pay money to people who provide the clues, but the effect was negligible. It was basically like a rock sinking into the ocean. Although the public security team had been investigating, they barely made any progress. As time passed, it became a case without any leads. Su Jingxing consolidated these incidents and wanted to see if he could find any related clues. And he did. Among the missing women, the younger ones were the majority. Like Gu Duo, there were many girls under the age of 10. Su Jingxing gathered the information of these people and tried to find common points. Especially points that were similar to Gu Duo's case. After half an hour, Su Jingxing finally found one. Birth time. If he had not investigated deeper, Su Jingxing would never have thought that most of the people who went missing were born during a yin hour of a yin day or a yin month of a yin year. Even Yu Miaodong who had been killed by Shi Yanfeng. Like Gu Duo, she had been born during an yin hour of a yin day of an yin month of an yin year. Was it a coincidence? No. There's a problem. There's definitely something wrong here. The Shi family. Su Jingxing's eyes lit up. His hands moved quickly on the keyboard as he hacked into the systems and cyberspaces of companies related to the Shi family. After searching for a while, he finally found some clues. Someone was helping the Shi family, or perhaps someone from the Shi family was fiddling with the evidence online of these women with these birth times and dates who had gone missing. If it weren't for the people doing this, Su Jingxing wouldn't have expected Gu Duoduo's disappearance to be related to the Shi family. What is this family trying to do? Su Jingxing frowned. Although he now knew that Gu Duoduo's disappearance was related to the Shi family, there were no other clues or evidence on the internet. Reported to the Martial Suppression Office for Li Linzhou to go to the Shi family to ask for the girl. Putting aside whether Li Linzhou was willing to interfere or not, even if he was, he might not necessarily find her if he does go to the Shi family. The reason was simple. The Shi family would never admit to such a thing. If Li Linzhou were to go to Shi family to ask for her, he instead would alert them and provoke the Shi family into killing her. Then they would destroy the body to obliterate all traces and burn her to ashes. What Su Jingxing wanted was not a pile of ashes, but a living Gu Duoduo. Hence, he was the only one who knew about the findings he made online. The disadvantages of the others knowing outweighed the benefits. A night visit to the Shi family's residence. Su Jingxing pondered. Thanks to Ko Wenji, Su Jingxing had managed to cultivate the Qi section of the Colossal Divine Dagger and the Colossal Divine Dagger to the advanced level with the martial arts practice card with 16 years of practice time. Right now, he was confident of sneaking into the Shi family's compound without anyone noticing. If he really were to be discovered, he was also confident of a successful escape. So, to the Shi family. Bang! 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 The sound of fighting suddenly came from the river. Su Jingxing listened carefully and found that the voices were getting closer and closer to him. He immediately switched off his computer, put on his cloak and mask, and walked out of the courtyard. He flew to a large tree by the river bank and hid in the dense foliage. He activated his night vision and distant vision abilities at the same time, looking at the approaching groups of people. It was 1 against 3. The 4 of them all used swords. True energy was released as sword energy surged. They fought their way along the embankment, causing massive damage. From time to time, they would jump to the surface of the water and create a splash. Su Jingxing watched from afar. These 4 of them, 1 escaping and 3 chasing, did not leak any aura even when they passed under the tree. It wasn't until one of the 3 giving chase paid a heavy price to kill the fleeing martial artists on the spot did the other 2 shout out in excitement. Finally killed this Nye fellow. Jia Yubai would never have thought that Nye Renchou, who escaped from him, would die in the hands of us 3. Calculated using the Chinese ordering systems of earthly branches and heavenly stems. Nye Renchou. The person killed is actually Nye Renchou. Su Jingxing was really surprised. Nye Renchou had disappeared for more than a week. He thought he had left Qinghe City, but he was still in the Western District. Furthermore, it seemed that he was looking for people to challenge. However, he was unlucky this time. He was besieged during the challenge and escaped. In the end, he didn't manage to do so and was killed on the southern bank of the Heavenly Water River. Of course, Su Jingxing didn't care if Nye Renchou had died. What caught his attention was that the treasure in Ouyang Qinhu's hand seemed to have fallen into Nye Renchou's hands. Now that Nye Renchou was dead, would this treasure be on him? At this thought, Su Jingxing used his lightness skill and flew over silently. After moving close, he still hid in the dense foliage. But 3 throwing daggers flew out from his palm. Swish! 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 The rushing sound of tearing through the air at top speed first shattered the street lamps under the night sky. Then, they charged towards the 3 swordsmen who were still excited over their kill. Swoosh! Swoosh! With the sound of the street lamps shattering, the 3 middle-rank swordsmen dodged the throwing daggers. Who is it? Come out if you dare. Among the 3 swordsmen, a muscular man shouted in a low voice, "What kind of hero are you if all you do is stay in hiding?" "Shut up!" The other old man with a long beard had a change in expression. He glared at the muscular man and then put away his weapon. He cupped his fists and shouted into the air, "Friend, don't worry. We don't have any other wants. We were chasing after Nye Rencho because he wanted to kill my third brother. Now that Nye Rencho is dead, we have achieved our goal. We will leave now." "No, big brother. Shut up." The long-bearded old man glared at the burly man who wanted to speak and growled, "If you don't want to die, then shut your mouth." The burly man could not tell, but how could this long-bearded elder not know? The person controlling the throwing daggers in the dark had no intention of killing them. Otherwise, their heads would have been the first to be crushed in the sneak attack. The long-bearded old man was not a martial artist of the lower ranks. Out of the three brothers, the old man was a fifth-grade martial artist, and the muscular man and the severely wounded man were sixth-grade martial artists. He had seen more than 10 types of throwing dagger skills. However, he had never encountered a throwing dagger that appeared without emitting any energies or fluctuations of aura. Those who had such abilities were either at a very high realm, such as the 4th grade, or that the martial art he cultivated was extremely advanced, that even the true energy that was externally released could be concealed. Either way, he was not someone the three of them could handle. Needless to say, the old man with the long beard and the muscular man had also exhausted themselves. If it was an 8th or 9th grade martial artist, they could still take care of him. But was the person hiding in the dark 9th grade or 8th grade? The long-bearded old man did not dare take the gamble. Compared to the treasure that might not even be on Nye Rencho anymore, their lives were undoubtedly more important. Therefore, the long-bearded elder decisively gave up on searching Nye Rencho's body. After shouting at the air, he forcefully suppressed the muscular man who had always been stubborn. He carried the seriously injured man on his back and quickly left the scene. Quite sensible. On the tree, Su Jingxing looked at the long-bearded old man and the two others who left without any mischief and nodded in satisfaction. His body swayed and he landed on the ground. He first extracted a card before searching Nye Rencho's corpse. He did not find anything valuable other than the weapons used by Nye Rencho. A blood-red longsword. Shaking his head in disappointment, Su Jingxing picked up the longsword and kept it in his palm space. This sword was clearly a treasure weapon. Either taking it for his own use or selling it were both good options. Better to have something than nothing. As for Nye Rencho's corpse. Who? Lifting his toes, Su Jingxing sent the corpse into the air and grabbed it. Then, he carried the corpse and flew over the sky-water river towards the crematorium. From afar, he threw the corpse into the air and it landed at the gate. It made a strange sound and alerted the guards. He had taken care of the body. Su Jingxing turned around. Amidst the exclamations of the crematorium guards behind him, flew over the sky-water river, returning to his small courtyard at the foot of the mountain. Back in the house, he took out the card he had extracted, held it in his palm, and read the description. Memory card. It was not the skill card or true energy card that he wanted the most, but a memory card. Su Jingxing was somewhat disappointed. But soon, he was stunned. The memory card he extracted from Nye Rencho's corpse recorded the memories of his entire lifetime. A Shi family's sacrificial soldier. Many people were curious about Nye Rencho's identity and background. Su Jingxing had now learned about it through this memory card. Not only did he know that Nye Rencho was a sacrificial soldier nurtured by the Shi family from a young age, he also learned a lot of the Shi family's secrets. For example, the 3 yin candles blood that Su Jingxing was most interested in. The bloodline card told him that people with the 3 yin candles blood would not live past 49 years old, but the Shi family members were not affected. This question was now solved. It turned out that the Shi family had long discovered the flaw of the 3 yin candles blood. In order to live longer, the Shi family's ancestors had researched and found a method. Absorb the blood from the hearts of virgin women born during a een hour of a een day of a een month of a een year. Shi Yanfeng wanted Yu Miaodong's heart because he wanted her blood. At that time, Su Jingxing did not notice that the unique blade Shi Yanfeng had used was actually a blood extractor. If Su Jingxing had taken the blade away, he would have found a jet of blood in it afterwards. The blood was blood from Yu Miaodong's heart. If one consumes the blood of a virgin woman born during a een hour of a een day of a een month of a een year every 3 years, the flaw of a short life that came with the 3 een candles blood would no longer be a problem. All these years, not only did the Shi family abduct young women and underage children in Qinghe City, they also gathered them in other cities and even other countries. This was because the blood had to be extracted while the women were still alive. After that, it had to be drunk and refined within half an hour. Hence, people like Gu Duo were abducted and imprisoned. The people doing such work outside were sacrificial soldiers like Nie Rencho. The Shi family had nurtured over 100 of them. Most of them were of the lower ranks. Only 9 were in the middle ranks. Nie Rencho was one of them. He was an outstanding talent among them. In order to seize the treasure in Ouyang Qinhu's hands, a pearl that could purify true energy in bloodline, the Shi family had sent him out. First, he led people to destroy a branch of the Black Tiger Gang, but they failed to find the pearl. Therefore, Nie Rencho pretended to be a sword fanatic and killed Ouyang Qinhu. While taking the pearl, he also absorbed Ouyang Qinhu's blood and essence. Removing the flaw of the 3 een candles blood relied on the blood from the heart of virgin women born during a een hour of a een day of a een month of a een year. On the other hand, the ability to enhance the 3 een candles blood was a blood elemental marrow that was mainly refined from the blood and essence of a martial artist in the middle ranks. Even though the 3 een candles blood, origin blood, that the Shi family had collected after the deaths of their members could also increase the power of their bloodline, it would not be permanent. Therefore, Nie Rencho killed Ouyang Qinhu, Shan Jiantong, and Ma Xingyang. The blood-red sword in his hand could absorb the target's blood and essence as he killed them. As for killing Shi Jindong, that was because he had betrayed the Shi family and joined the Li family. After absorbing these blood and essence, the Shi family brought to the underground space below Cloud C Square and used it as the main ingredient to refine the blood elemental marrow. That's right. The real mastermind of the bloody crime at the Cloud C Square wasn't Kuwenji or Shi Yeni, but the Shi family's higher-ups led by Shi Jinyan. The case was solved. If not for the fact that the memory card would not lie, Su Jingxing would never know or even imagine that the Shi family was behind all this. This family was really arrogant and unbridled. They extract blood from the heart of a virgin born during a een hour of a een day of a een month of a een year. God knew how many people they had killed over the years. This time, it was even crazier. To refine a large amount of blood elemental marrows, they set up an array formation under Cloud C Square in advance, calculated the time, and created a corpse puppet. Then, they took advantage of the festival to cause thousands of casualties. The fresh blood that flowed out had entered the array formation through a secret passage, giving birth to lots of blood essence marrows. All that about Kuwenji being abandoned by Shi Yeni, the video she filmed before committed *****, and their helplessness post-incident were all planned by the Shi family. On the other hand, Nie Rencho had come out at night not on orders from the Shi family to continue challenging and killing people, but because the long-bearded old man and company had found his hiding place. He was chased all the way to the southern bank of the Sky Water River and died there. After going through all the memories, Su Jingxing let out a long sigh. Lunatics, all of them are lunatics. Even though he knew that the rise of these martial arts families would inevitably result in death and bloodshed, people like the Shi family, who extract blood from the hearts of living people once every 3 years, created corpse puppets and caused thousands of deaths, were still beyond Su Jingxing's imagination. Such a family should disappear. They should not exist in this world. Expose them to the Martial Suppression Office? Useless. The Shi family had never left behind any traces of the women born during a een hour of a een day of a een month of a een year. Without direct evidence, nothing could be done to the Shi family, nor would anyone believe these accusations. It was the same for the array formation beneath Cloud C². By now, all traces would have been removed. None of the fresh blood would be left behind. Even if Su Jingxing were to report it to the Martial Suppression Office, Li Linzhou wouldn't be able to find any clues even if he went there. As for Nie Renchou's real motive for killing people over the past few days, not many people would believe it either. This was because there was no evidence to prove that Nie Renchou was a sacrificial soldier of the Shi family. Su Jingxing pondered on it at length. There was only one thing he could do. Rescue Gu Duo. The Shi family had 3 secret bases. It just so happened that Nie Renchou had been to the secret base where the women born during a een hour of a een day of a een month of a een year were captured and locked in. Through Nie Renchou's memories, Su Jingxing had learned of the exact location of the base, the defense set up there, and the experts guarding it. It had only been 2 days since Gu Duo was taken away. There was a high chance that she was still alive. If Su Jingxing were to go over now, he could definitely bring the little girl back. If possible, it would be even better if he could destroy this base and save the other captives. Of course. He could engage Li Linzhou in this. The problem was that Su Jingxing did not know where Li Linzhou lived or how to contact him. How could he find him? As for telling the rest of the Martial Suppression Office, he decided against it. There were quite a few people from the Shi family in the Martial Suppression Division. After making his decision, Su Jingxing moved quickly. He first disguised himself as Yang Jian before putting on his cloak and mask. After he finished dressing up, he walked out to the courtyard and executed the 8 steps rising dragon to soar into the sky. He flew towards the direction of Turtleback Mountain at an extremely fast speed. The secret base where Gu Duo and others were imprisoned was in Turtleback Mountain. Turtleback Mountain was a large mountain at the southeast edge of the Green Cloud Mountain range. It was named as such because it resembled a turtle shell. Su Jingxing's small courtyard at the foot of the mountain was about 30 kilometers away from Turtleback Mountain. Driving his true energy, Su Jingxing was like a flying dragon and he arrived at his destination in 5 minutes. Su Jingxing gently descended from above. The moment he landed on the ground, he circulated the ghost python breath-holding technique, restraining his aura and vitality, before quietly approaching the entrance of the secret base. Outside the entrance was an ordinary mountain wall. It was covered with vines and the ground was all gravel. Su Jingxing hid in the dark and used his oral mimicry techniques to create the howling of wild wolves. The constant snarls at the entrance left the guards at the entrance annoyed. They opened the mountain wall and walked out with their guns out to chase them away. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Su Jingxing flashed past the entrance like a ghost. He was very quick and hid himself in a blind spot. Then, he waited for the guards to return and closed the entrance before returning. He sneaked into the guardhouse and released his throwing daggers, silently killing the guards inside. There was no sound produced throughout the whole process. Instead, Su Jingxing extracted 4 cards. After taking care of the entrance, Su Jingxing left the guardroom and locked the door from outside. Then, he boosted his speed to the fastest. Pressing himself against the walls and corners, he rushed into the corridors filled with cameras and headed straight for the control center. As long as he was fast enough, they wouldn't be able to see him under video surveillance unless they looked closely. With his full strength, Su Jingxing didn't reveal his afterimage. In one breath, he rushed to the entrance of the control center and quickly entered. What he saw had him laughing for some time. The guards on duty in the control center were all sleeping soundly. It made sense. It was almost 3 in the morning and nothing had ever happened at the secret base. It was normal for these guards to relax. While feeling amused, Su Jingxing left them all in their dreams and extracted 3 cards. After that, he turned off the alarm and cut off all the surveillance cameras before leaving and locking the door from outside. The next step was to head to the guard lounge. As before, he quietly unlocked the door and entered the room. He left all the guards sleeping in their dream and extracted a dozen more cards. Jingxing nodded in satisfaction and continued on his way to the higher-ups of the Shi family who were stationed in the secret base. The first would be Shi Jinchuan, a 6th-grade martial artist. Tap, tap. Standing at the side, he knocked on Shi Jinchuan's alloy door. "What is it?" A low voice came from inside the room. Jingxing ignored him and continued knocking. Tap, tap. Footsteps sounded. Jingxing took out his treasure saber and got ready. With a creak, the alloy door opened. Shi Jinchuan, who was dressed in a training suit, stuck his head out with an overcast expression and scolded, "Didn't I say not to?" Swoosh! The blade flashed, and the head fell. Shi Jinchuan did not have time to react and he had gone to see his ancestors. Jingxing extracted a card, put his saber away, and sent Shi Jinchuan's body and head back into the room. He then took out a curtain from inside and wiped the blood on the floor. However, as he wiped, Jingxing slowly stopped moving. He slowly stood up and stared at the corner of the corridor in front of him. A black-haired old man had appeared. Shi Zhibang. At just a single glance, Jingxing recognized him. Part of the older generation of the Shi family, this 5th-grade martial artist, Shi Zhibang, was the leader of this secret base. At this moment, the old fellow's face was livid as he stared fixedly at Jingxing, his eyes filled with killing intent. "How bold, you actually dare to come here." A slightly hoarse voice sounded in the air. Shi Zhibang suddenly launched an attack, his figure rapidly shifting. In less than a breath's time, he covered the distance of over 70 meters and arrived in front of Jingxing. 100 steps raining fist. Jingxing circulated 30 years of his true energy cultivation multiplied by 5 times. Then, he punched out. Boom! The air exploded. The silver-black translucent fist carrying 150,000 caddies of strength collided with Shi Zhibang's split eagle claw imprint. Bam! The two forces clashed head-on, producing a dull sound that echoed in the corridor. Shi Zhibang, who was filled with killing intent, felt his right hand go numb and lost all feeling thereafter. Then, intense pain spread from his arm and entered his brain, making his face twitch and his body tremble. At the same time, he heard the cracking sounds of bones breaking. Ta! 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 Shi Zhibang, who couldn't stop himself from repeatedly stepping back, saw a bloody mist wrapping around his upper body when he sobered up in shock. The bloody mist came from his right arm. At this moment, his right arm was completely fractured. His bones were broken. His entire arm was like a lump of dough that had just been fermented, and it rested limply on his shoulder. You! Swoosh! The saber beam appeared out of thin air. With lightning speed, Jingxing took out his treasured weapon and hacked swiftly at the terrified Shi Zhibang. 40 years of true energy cultivation. Human origin of the 3 origin saber art. Upwind single slash. Sweeping river army slash. Ascending dragon overlord slash. Swish. 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 Whoosh. 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 The blade glint tore through the air along with the rush of wind. Similarly, the silvery black blade energy came one after another, overlapping as they bombarded Shi Zhibang's body. First, they shattered Shi Zhibang's protective true energy, then tore apart Shi Zhibang's special protective clothing, a semi-treasure training suit. In the end, Shi Zhibang's head and upper body were split into 2, blood splattered everywhere. Fast and powerful. Shi Zhibang, who was in the 5th grade, did not even have time to use his trump card before he was sent to meet his ancestors. The corridor was silent. Jingxing, who had sheathed his saber, extracted a card. He stood still and listened carefully for a moment. After making sure that no one was coming towards him, he relaxed a little. I think I was too heavy-handed. Su Jingxing looked down at the two halves of Shi Zhibang's body and muttered to himself. His internal organs were scattered all over the ground and blood had splattered everywhere. It would be a waste of time to clean up. After thinking for a while, Su Jingxing gave up on cleaning and went to the next residence of the next target. As long as he was fast enough, he did not fear the corpse being discovered. So. Swoosh! The blade flashed, the head of another Shi family higher up was chopped off before he could react. Su Jingxing extracted a card, turned around, and went straight to the next person. There were clear locations in his mind and he did not waste a second on moving around. The next target were the sacrificial soldiers who were nurtured from young like Nye Rencho. Su Jingxing maintained advanced hearing's ability of picking up everything within a 100-meter radius. He locked onto a sacrificial soldier who heard the knock on the door and was stepping out vigilantly as he hit himself on the ceiling. The sacrificial soldier stuck his head out of the door and looked around, he did not see anyone. Suddenly, in the split second he became alert. Swoosh! Saber light suddenly appeared. Su Jingxing held the treasure saber in his hand and dropped from above the sacrificial saber. The saber slid past the man's face and sliced off half of it. This was the result of the sacrificial soldier dodging after being alerted. He did not manage to avoid it completely. Before he could scream, Su Jingxing, who was still in midair, swung his saber diagonally and slashed at his neck. A spurt of blood shot out, hitting the door and the walls on both sides. The head that was missing half its face detached from its body and fell to the ground with two dull thuds. After extracting a card, Su Jingxing did not stop and rushed to another room 10 meters away. The person living in this neighboring room beside him was also a sacrificial soldier of the Shi family. He was in the 6th grade. Very alert. Su Jingxing had just gotten rid of his target when he rushed out of the room quickly and vigilantly. The moment he opened the door. Swish! 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 Su Jingxing, who had flown over, slashed 3 times in quick succession. The opponent only let out a furious roar before his entire body was split into 2. But it was also because of this roar that the people living in the rooms in this entire corridor were alarmed. Instantly, within Su Jingxing's hearing range, a series of messy footsteps sounded. Accompanied by calls and shouts, guards and sacrificial soldiers rushed out of the rooms. What awaited them? Swish! 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 The sound of rapid echoed. Su Jingxing released 3 treasure-throwing daggers that were wrapped in true energy. They quickly tore through the air. Bang! 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 One after another, the guards had their heads penetrated and shattered on the spot. One after another, the hearts or necks of the sacrificial soldiers were sliced past or penetrated by throwing daggers. Hoo! Swish! 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 Blood blossomed, corpses shook. Su Jingxing controlled the 3 throwing daggers from a distance. They flew at high speed, weaving through the crowd. Accompanied by numerous shrieks, blood sprayed out. None of the guards and sacrificial soldiers could escape the dance of the throwing daggers. By the time the last sacrificial soldier collapsed, the corridor was already flooded in blood. Su Jingxing, who had retracted his throwing daggers, caught his breath as he walked among the corpses and extracted cards. Extraction for all corpses was completed. Su Jingxing also stopped panting. He stood in the pile of corpses and looked at an old man with fiery red hair who had suddenly appeared dozens of meters away. Pa! 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 The old man clapped his hands and looked at Su Jingxing up and down with interest. He grinned and said, "Good, good, very good. Your throwing daggers skills are impressive. If I'm not wrong, it should be the heavy dagger series, right?" The heavy dagger, as its name suggested, was a dagger technique that dominated with weight and strength. Given the features of colossal divine dagger could indeed be categorized as part of the heavy dagger series. Su Jingxing also recognized the old man. Tang Wulin. A guardian of the Shi family, the strongest existence in this secret base, a 4th-grade expert. Su Jingxing had secretly killed the others in order to save Tang Wulin for last. Even though there were still quite a few people that hadn't been taken care of yet, there weren't many left. It wouldn't be too late to finish off Tang Wulin first. Facing a 4th-grade cultivator, Su Jingxing focused all of his attention and circulated the heaven-trampling true energy entirely in his dantian. Swish! 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 The 3 treasure-throwing daggers flew out again. Huh, does this mean that you do not wish to have a chat with me? Tang Wulin laughed out loud. Amidst his laughter, 2 crescent-curved blades flew out from the back of his head to meet the throwing daggers. Bang! 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 Dang! 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 The 2 handleless curved blades and the 3 throwing daggers collided violently in the corridor. The sparks that shot out were dazzling. The blade energy they released sliced through the ground and walls, leaving behind inches of marks. The corpses on the ground became even more broken and bits splattered everywhere. The 2 of them were exchanging blows using hidden weapons in the air. Tang Wulin stood with a smile on his face, and Su Jingxing didn't move at all. While he operated the true energy, he took out the 2 true energy cards with 7 and 8 years of cultivation that he had stored away. He unlocked them close to his palm to replenish his dantian. Swoosh, swoosh, opposite him, Tang Wulin narrowed his eyes. Split his attention to circulate the 9 something was off with Su Jingxing to convert the attributeless true energy into curved blades against 3 flying daggers. In less than half a minute, in a situation where the mastery of hidden weapons recovered to his peak state, the person controlling the throwing daggers would undoubtedly consume more energy. However, the true energy fluctuations coming from Su Jingxing's body did not decrease. Instead, they were becoming stronger. What was going on? Interesting. Tang Wulin chuckled and controlled the handleless curved blades to continue fighting while walking towards Su Jing. Old thing, you can't hold back anymore. Su Jingxing also sneered and walked to meet him. Bang! 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 Dang! 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 The range of collision between the 2 curved blades and the 3 treasure-throwing daggers became smaller and smaller as the 2 of them got closer. Until... boom! When he was only 2 meters away from Su Jingxing, Tang Wulin suddenly struck out with his palm. A fiery red palm print tore through the air like a ferocious tiger, roaring as it pounced towards Su Jingxing. 100 steps raining fist. Su Jingxing mobilized his true energy cultivation of 60 years and punched out. The silvery black translucent fist carried a weight of 400,000 caddies as it fiercely collided with the fiery red palm. Boom! There was a deafening bang. Terrifying energy burst forth with a shockwave, causing the air to become extremely chaotic. Apart from destroying the 2 handleless curved blades and the 3 treasure-throwing daggers, it stirred up a raging wave in the corridor. Everywhere it passed, the ground and walls were pressured by a heavy force, causing cracks to appear. The corpses on the ground also became more and more broken, none of them were complete. At the center of the energy, neither Su Jingxing nor Tang Wulin took a step back. However, compared to the composed Su Jingxing, Tang Wulin's expression was a little ugly. We are equally matched. They were equally matched in terms of mastery of hidden weapons and martial arts. In terms of true energy cultivation, they were also equally matched. However, in terms of true energy reserves, Tang Wulin lost. Each of them knew themselves. Tang Wulin could clearly sense that the true energy fluctuations on Su Jingxing's body had not weakened at all. He was still in his peak state. In contrast, he had already used up a third of his true energy. I can't go on like this. A cold glint flashed across Tang Wulin's eyes. His expression was no longer as confident and carefree as before. He no longer dared to underestimate Su Jingxing. I have to end this quickly. Since he had expended too much energy, he would end the battle as quickly as possible. Bang! Bang! Tang Wulin gave up on his curved blades and went all out. His body shifted and changed his position at lightning speed to attack Su Jingxing. A battle of speed? Su Jingxing chuckled and also gave up on his throwing daggers. He activated the 8 steps rising dragon at full force. Swoosh! 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 The sound of rushing wind instantly filled the corridor. Tang Wulin executed his evasive maneuvers to the extreme that he could not even see his afterimages. Su Jingxing was also agile and graceful, his figure similarly invisible. Compared to the 100 steps raining fist, he had a better mastery of the 8 steps rising dragon. He had reached the peak of perfection. Had Tang Wulin's lightness skill reached this level? No. So. Bang! 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 Boom! Accompanied by the intense collision of true energy, the flame true energy and heaven trampling true energy were continuously neutralized. Tang Wulin and Su Jingxing, one in the front and one behind, passed through 3 corridors at lightning speed and arrived in a hall. Tang Wulin, who was wrapped in flame true energy, was abruptly struck by an attack. His figure appeared and he was sent flying backward, crashing into the metal wall. Blood spurted out of his mouth. Ah! Blood splattered all over Tang Wulin's face and upper body. With another heavy thud, his entire body smashed into the metal wall, creating a dent. Tang Wulin spat out another mouthful of blood all over the ground as he fell to his knees. Swoosh! Take his life while he's down. Su Jingxing circulated 30 years of cultivation of heaven trampling true energy and channeled it into his treasure weapon and slashed at Tang Wulin. Ah! Tang Wulin, who was half kneeling, sensed danger and suddenly raised his head to let out a roar. The solidified sound waves twisted and spun in the air, forming a spiral shock wave that crashed into the silvery black blade energy. The two collided. Boom! 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 A deafening explosion echoed through the hall. Wherever the shockwave passed, everything in the hall was shattered into pieces. The silvery black blade energy lasted for less than 2 seconds before it was turned into internal force and destroyed the ground and walls. And because the range was too large, the longer it stretched, the more areas it covered. By the time Su Jingxing sensed it and swung his blade again, he was already a step too late. His entire body was sent flying backward by the terrifying shockwave. With a series of loud bangs, he crashed through 3 brick walls. His protective true energy vanished. His cloak, clothes, and mask were torn apart before he finally landed into the ruins. Secret ability. Tang Wulin had mastered such a terrifying sound secret ability. The lethality of this high-frequency sound wave was truly frightening. If an ordinary person were to encounter it, they would be torn into pieces on the spot and reduced to lumps of flesh. The martial artists in the lower ranks similarly would not be able to take and would die from the shock. Those in the middle ranks would rely on their protective true energy to barely hold on. Those who were lucky could survive. For example, if Su Jingxing's physical body wasn't at the limits of the human body, he wouldn't have died from the impact, but he wouldn't have been able to move either. Even so, the blood and qi in his entire body was extremely restless at this moment. His limbs were numb while his heart was pounding madly, and it was on the verge of popping out from his throat. Amazing! Compared to his true energy cultivation and martial arts attainments, this secret ability of Tang Wulin was his trump card. Su Jingxing took out a bunch of strength pills and stuffed them into his mouth, quickly recovering his strength and suppressing his blood and qi. Su Jingxing stood up from the ruins and wiped his face, only to discover that half of his human skin mask had been destroyed. Fortunately, Su Jingxing had cut off all the surveillance cameras previously. He glanced at the camera in the corner and sneered coldly. He was no longer wearing a top. His upper body was bare and he was wearing a pair of custom-made elastic pants at the bottom. Su Jingxing had specially bought these elastic pants for the sake of transforming into the demonic elephant physique. He had put 5 of them in his palm space. Correspondingly, there were also a dozen cloaks, clothes, and masks. Tang Wulin's voice secret ability was so powerful that Su Jingxing decided not to wear them for the time being. He walked towards the hall step by step and picked up his fallen treasure saber halfway. You! How is this possible? In the hall, Tang Wulin's face was as pale as a sheet of white paper. He was obviously in a weak state. He watched Su Jingxing walk towards him in disbelief. He knew his trump card best. The earlier strike had sapped most of his true energy and stamina. In the instant it burst out, even if Su Jingxing didn't die, he should be severely injured and rendered immobile. But now, he could still walk. What did he rely on? His physical body. Yes, a powerful physical body could withstand a portion of the impact. Tang Wulin would never have thought that other than being a 4th-grade expert who had outstanding true energy cultivation, martial arts attainments and lightness skills, he was also a body-tempering martial artist with a powerful physical body. Over there, quick, quick. Everyone, follow. Messy footsteps sounded. While Tang Wulin was still in shock, the remaining people in the base came dashing over from the 4 corridors at the front, back and sides of the hall. Leading them was a middle-aged man. Su Jingxing, whose blood and qi had been completely suppressed and his limbs more or less recovered, glanced at him from afar and recognized him. Shi Jianzhou, Shi Yanfeng's father, a 6th-grade martial artist. As for the others, they were basically guards with assault rifles in their hands. Swoosh! Ignoring Shi Jianzhou and company, Su Jingxing raised his saber and charged towards Tang Wulin. Compared to Shi Jianzhou, Tang Wulin was the biggest threat. Damn it! Tang Wulin's pupils contracted, and his body tensed up. He hurriedly rolled about on the ground, and then he scrambled to his feet in a sorry state, fleeing towards the left passage where Shi Jianzhou's group had come from. Having run out of true energy with his stamina soon to follow, he didn't dare to fight Su Jingxing head-on. He wanted to escape, but Su Jingxing wouldn't allow that. Human origin. Upwind single slash. Sweeping river army slash. Ascending dragon overlord slash. Swish. 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 Whoosh. 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 Saber winds howled and blade energy tore through the air. The silvery black blade energy came wave after wave, stacking upon the previous. Every strike hit the fleeing Tang Wulin. Blood spurted out from Tang Wulin's body. First, his arms were separated from his body, then his legs were severed, and then his body was split into 5 pieces. Finally, his head was thrown into the air. Just like that, as he ran, his entire body was slowly dismembered. His head flew out, smashing towards Shi Jianzhou who was running towards him. Dong! A dull thud echoed through the tunnel. Shi Jianzhou took a few steps back and waved his hand to stop the people behind him. He looked at Tang Wulin's corpse on the ground in shock and then lifted his head to look at Su Jingxing, who was at the end of the corridor. His legs could not stop trembling. Fire, fire. Everyone, fire. Shi Jianzhou roared with a trembling voice. Duh. 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 Bang bang bang. Su Jingxing was surrounded by bullets. Sparks flew everywhere. However, Shi Jianzhou was expecting too much, hoping to deal with him using guns. Swoosh. Swoosh. Stepping on the 8 steps rising dragon, Su Jingxing held his treasure saber in his hand as he flashed left and right. As he dodged nimbly, he covered a distance of tens of meters in the blink of an eye. Together with his saber, he charged into Shi Jinzhou's group. Immediately. Ah! 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 The blade was snarling, the blade energy was roaring. Accompanied by a series of miserable cries, the team led by Shi Jinzhou was dead within 10 seconds. Broken limbs were strewn all over the ground. Among them, the 6th grade Shi Jinzhou held out the longest, 5 seconds. Su Jingxing had relied solely on his physical strength to deal with Shi Jinzhou. Coupled with the 3 Origin Saber Art Human Origin volume, he had forcefully cut through Shi Jinzhou's protective true energy before splitting him in half. He was done here. Swoosh! Su Jingxing, who had extracted many cards, quickly turned around and returned to the hall, rushing towards the other firing teams. The blade was still snarling and the blade energy was still roaring. Su Jingxing stepped on 8 steps Rising Dragon. As he dodged nimbly and gracefully, he killed everyone with his blade. One card after another was extracted. With the death of these men that Shi Jinzhou had come with, all the guards in the base were finally taken care of. Under the barrage of bullets, Su Jingxing, who had been shot a few times, did not even have a scratch on his skin. Only a few white spots were left behind, but there were quite a lot of blood stains on him. He took out a piece of clothing from his palm space and wiped himself. At the same time, he took off the remaining half of his human skin mask and threw it away. After that, Su Jingxing put on his clothes, cloak, and mask. Then, he headed straight for the cells. Ah! Ah! Don't kill me, don't kill me. As soon as they entered the cell, high-pitched screams could be heard from all directions. The girls that the Shi family had captured from all over the world were all in cages, screaming non-stop. They were huddled in the corners in fear, not daring to look out of the cages. Su Jingxing didn't release them immediately either. He walked past the cages one by one, his eyes searching for Gudwudwa's figure. After walking past 10 cages, he finally spotted the little girl. The 5-year-old was currently in the arms of a young girl, curled up in a corner, and both of them were trembling non-stop. It's good that she's alive. Su Jingxing thought to himself and let out a sigh of relief. However, he didn't release them immediately. Instead, he returned outside. First, he went to pick up his 3 throwing daggers. Then, he went to the warehouse and collected a few buckets of corpse-dissolving liquid. Carrying the corpse-dissolving liquid, he walked around the base and poured it onto the corpses of the people he had killed, turning them into pools of liquid. A strong pungent smell filled the base. Su Jingxing turned on the ventilators as he walked. Finally, he returned to the cell and opened the cages. Everyone, come out. There were no soft and gentle words. Su Jingxing lowered his voice and shouted at the people hiding in the cages, if you won't come out, you'll die immediately. Ah! Ah! The screams continued. Without needing Su Jingxing to urge them again, everyone quickly came out of the metal cages and consciously lined up in a line. They had their heads lowered and kept trembling. Su Jingxing didn't comfort them. He drove them out of the cell, through the corridors, and out of the base. During the entire process, screams could be heard from over 100 people, young and old. But slowly, the screams lessened, and the cries of surprise continued. Although they couldn't completely believe it, it was obvious that they were leaving the base safely. They realized that they might have been rescued. Some even asked Su Jingxing boldly. Su Jingxing ignored them and only roughly ordered them to walk in the quiet morning forest. Every single base of the Shi family had people delivering supplies, equipment, and detailed intelligence every day. If he did not bring them away quickly, they would definitely encounter those men of the Shi family who were of different strengths. Those in the lower ranks were fine, but if they were in the middle ranks, Su Jingxing wouldn't be able to spare the attention to take care of Gu Duo and the others. This was also the reason why he did not speak a single gentle word from beginning to end. Time was of the essence. There was a small farm town just 2 mountains away from Turtleback Mountain. Su Jingxing's final mission was to escort this group of more than 100 people to the borders of the town. On the mountain roads, a group of women who were frightened day and night and severely exhausted. One could imagine the speed at which they were advancing. In order to save time, Su Jingxing had no choice but to forcefully feed everyone an essence energy pill each. After eating, they finally sped up significantly. Supporting one another, the older ones carrying the young ones, the group of people staggered over 2 mountains and entered the outermost fields of the farm town. Here. Su Jingxing stopped and told everyone to continue moving forward. He then executed 8 steps rising dragon and soared into the sky. In the air, he destroyed an unoccupied house with one punch, causing a commotion and attracting the farm's attention. Then, he rode the wind, leaving behind a dragon-shaped trail amidst everyone's cries and thanks, disappearing into the horizon. Back at his small courtyard at the foot of the mountain. After washing up and changing into clean clothes, Su Jingxing took out all the cards he had extracted. Let me see what I've gained this time. The people guarding the secret base were all martial artists. In other words, the weakest person was in the 9th grade. This was a good thing for Su Jingxing, who had destroyed the base. Previously, Su Jingxing had extracted several hundred cards from the tragic incident at Cloud Sea Square. When unlocked he got either the strength pills or the essence energy pills. Currently, what he didn't lack the most were essence energy pills and strength pills. He had accumulated more than 2,000 of the latter, allowing Su Jingxing to transform into the demonic elephant physique twice. Therefore, what Su Jingxing lacked was a true energy card, or at least an internal force card. The people guarding the base were all martial artists. The chances of extracting these 2 cards were undoubtedly at the highest. And that was indeed the case. Su Jingxing checked all the cards. It was a pretty good harvest. Needless to say, the 4 bloodline cards came from Shi Jinchuan, Shi Jinzhou, and the others. Unlocking them would give a special bloodline, the 3 Yin Candle Blood. There were 3 true energy cards, with 6 years of cultivation, 10 years of cultivation, and 7 years of cultivation respectively. Out of the 3 skill cards, 2 of them were blade techniques that the Shi family had given them to the guards to practice, but only half of the content was available. Su Jingxing put them aside. The key was the 3rd skill card, a secret ability. That's right, this skill card came from the 4th grade guardian, Tang Wulin. The old fellow's high-frequency sound wave attack was quite terrifying. If Su Jingxing's physical body wasn't at the limits of the human body, the outcome of this operation might have been severely discounted. It would be a lie to say that Su Jingxing was not covetous of this secret ability. However, it was unrealistic to learn it secretly. But now, the cheat ability had actually extracted this secret ability. Su Jingxing was overjoyed. The cultivation of the remaining internal force cards added up to more than 210 years. Transformed it into true energy, it would be 2 years. Not bad. Of course, Su Jingxing didn't unlock them immediately and be in a hurry to do the conversion. Instead, he first circulated the 9 steps trampling heaven to recover the true energy he had expended on the journey. When he fought against Tang Wulin previously, Su Jingxing had used 2 true energy cards, which had 8 years of cultivation and 7 years of cultivation respectively. Under normal circumstances, these 2 true energy cards could allow Su Jingxing to increase his cultivation by 15 years after he unlocks, absorbs, and transforms them into heaven-trampling true energy. However, in order to replenish his depleted true energy then, his cultivation only increased by 10 years after the absorption. This meant that 5 years of cultivation was wasted due to the replenishment. At that point, he was in a hurry to replenish his energy. He had no choice but to do so now. Naturally, Su Jingxing was not willing to waste any more now. It took him more than an hour to recover his true energy. At this time, if his mastery of the 9 steps trampling heaven technique had reached the 7th or 8th level, this duration would be even shorter. After his true energy was restored, Su Jingxing unlocked the internal force cards one by one and accumulated 100 years worth of cultivation before transforming them into a year of heaven trampling true energy cultivation. He kept the remaining cards. 200 years of internal force cultivation had become 2 years of heaven trampling true energy cultivation. In other words, Su Jingxing's true energy cultivation had reached 72 years. He kept 3 true energy cards as spares. The 4 bloodline cards containing the 3 Yin candles blood were naturally unlocked. He obtained 4 blood pearls and fed them to Thunderbolt. With every blood pearl given, the patterns on the surface of Thunderbolt would brighten further. I wonder how much this fellow needs to be fed before it can fully recover. Su Jingxing fiddled with Thunderbolt and murmured. The power of a spirit weapon was recognized since ancient times. For example, Su Jingxing would not have been in such a sorry state if he had the aid of Thunderbolt during this destruction of the Shi family's secret base. Unfortunately, it was unknown how long it would take before the Thunderbolt would completely recover. Perhaps even if all the members of the Shi family were wiped out, and the 3 Yin candles blood obtained from unlocking the bloodline cards extracted were fed to Thunderbolt, it still might not recover completely. It couldn't be helped. Thunderbolt had been dormant for too long. Before it was dug out by Zhang Shanfu's grandfather from the fish belly, no one knew how long it had been wandering. 100 years? 1,000 years? Su Jingxing didn't know. All he could do was keep feeding it. A deranged martial arts family like the Shi family deserved to die. Using their blood to feed Thunderbolt was making good use of waste materials. Of course. Dealing with the Shi family could only be done in secret. Su Jingxing was a lone wolf to begin with. If he were to continue acting recklessly, he, a 6th grade martial artist with the combat ability of 4th grade, would most likely be killed by the Shi family midway. It couldn't be helped. The Shi family's foundation and background was too deep and powerful. Tang Wulin was definitely not the only 4th grade martial artist. In every realm, there was a difference in strength. Both were 4th grade martial artists, but could Tang Wulin compare to Li Linzhou? No. If no one in the Shi family was stronger than Tang Wulin, would Tang Wulin obediently help them guard this base outside the city? That didn't make sense. Tang Wulin was no fool. Therefore, the Shi family certainly had more than 1 4th grade martial artists, and the others were even stronger. He still had to take his time dealing with the Shi family. For example, creating a wave of public opinion attack. There was a ready-made case. Girls born during a Yin hour of a Yin day of a Yin month of a Yin year. Of course, before taking action, he had to confirm if Gu Duo and the rest had gone home. Before they did, he couldn't take action for the time being, in case the Shi family turned desperate and wanted to intercept them on their way back to the city. The wait was not long. The next afternoon, Su Jingxing, who was moving corpses in the crematorium, suddenly heard a commotion outside. What has happened this time? Kong de Bao smacked his lips. It seems to be a good thing. Su Jingxing listened for a while and replied, Big brother de Bao, shall we go out and take a look after we're done moving this corpse? No rush. Kong de Bao put down the cart and said in all seriousness, we can move corpses any time, but we cannot slack on the safety of the crematorium for even a moment. As a part of the crematorium, what we need to do is to eliminate any threats at the first moment. Kong de Bao winked. Am I right, little Su? Yes, Big brother de Bao is very right. Su Jingxing cooperated. Then what are we waiting for? With a wave of his hand, Kong de Bao hurried outside. Su Jingxing held back his laughter and followed behind. As an official employee, there was nothing wrong with slacking off during work hours. Even though Su Jingxing already knew what happened. Cough. Cough. That's right, the noise was brought by Gu Duo had returned. The crematorium staff had helped him previously. Gu Bo was very grateful for everyone's kind intentions even though they didn't do much. Hence, he specially invited everyone to a hotel for dinner while he would have the share of those on duty packed and delivered to the dormitory. Everyone was very happy that Gu Duo was back, but refused the dinner. Su Jingxing refused as well and tried to get information about the rest of the girls from him. He learned that most of the girls had been sent back to their respective cities, and those whose homes were further away were temporarily staying at the headquarters of Qinghe City's Martial Suppression Office. Su Jingxing heaved a sigh of relief. With this matter settled, they could launch an attack using public opinion on the Shi family tonight. Su Jingxing didn't have concrete evidence, but he had seen too many such instances of directing discussions on Earth. Not to mention, there were people like Gu Duo and the others who had real encounters. Su Jingxing had only posted 2 articles with striking headlines before he hacked into all the local forums, social spaces, and communication systems in Qinghe City. With just a little guidance, the entire city was in an uproar. Are you serious? Do such bloodline martial artists really exist? Yeah. This is also the first time I'm hearing of such people. Heh, you don't know because you're ignorant. Bloodline martial artists have existed since ancient times. These people who look like us on the outside, but their blood is different. Some are green, some are yellow, and some even look like gold. These people all have one thing in common, and that is that the speed at which they cultivate martial arts is extremely fast, and the might after mastering them is exceptionally powerful. In the capital, I once saw a bloodline martial artist who, in a fit of rage, could transform into a mutated beast. After that, his combat strength and destructive power were extremely exaggerated. Those at a higher realm would be no match for them, let alone those in the same realm. Are you serious? Do you have to be so exaggerated? Transforming into a mutated beast? Were you watching a movie? Person above, ignorance isn't your fault, but bragging everywhere when you're ignorant is your problem. Earth Star is huge. There are countless things you don't know about. According to what you people have said, if bloodline martial artists really exist, doesn't that mean that these people are stronger than us even before they were born? Of course, if you want to become a bloodline martial artist, you can only pray you'll be put into a womb with a bloodline legacy when you reincarnate. Of course, whether or not bloodline martial artists can unleash the power of their bloodline is another matter. This is because there's also a saying about bloodline concentration. Those with a lower concentration can't do anything with it. Similarly, the descendants of a bloodline martial artist might not necessarily possess a special bloodline. There are quite a few probabilities involved in this. I'm so envious. If only I have a bloodline legacy. In the forums, chat groups, and in reality, people were discussing the bloodline martial artists that Su Jingxing exposed. After all, bloodline martial artists were born with innate abilities. They were 3 times, 5 times, and 10 times faster than ordinary people when cultivating martial arts. Even those with less concentrated bloodlines could master other things faster than ordinary people. To an ordinary person, this was a hack. Regardless of the extent of the ability, it was enviable. Especially when bloodline legacies were irrespective of rich or poor. Some people might be miserably poor, but their ancestors were bloodline martial artists, so they have the possibility of awakening the power of their bloodline. Once done, they could soar into the sky. This made many people secretly decide to release some blood in private to see if they had a bloodline legacy. As for what Su Jingxing had specifically stated in his article, among bloodline martial artists, there were some whose bloodline power contained serious flaws and huge drawbacks. No one took this portion to heart. Su Jingxing had already expected this. When it came to bloodline martial artists, people would only envy the power of their bloodline and not consider the drawbacks. However, when paired with another article about the hidden threat to girls born during a een hour of a een day of a een month of a een year, there was a different effect. There were more than 100 of them who had been captured and imprisoned in a secret base. One would be killed every once in a while. Although this matter was officially made public and many people paid attention to it, it did not cause a sensation. This was because similar abductions occurred every year in every city of Earth Star. But with the content that Su Jingxing specially exposed, things were different. Birth time. Gu Duo and the other girls were all born during a hour of a day of a month of a year. The people who captured them had obviously specially selected them. Su Jingxing didn't say what was the use of capturing and killing them, but with a bit of guidance, coupled with the flaws of bloodline martial artists, it immediately caused an uproar in the city. F***ck, this was definitely premeditated. Duh. Bloodline martial artists have flaws in their bloodline, so they captured girls born during a hour of a day of a month of a year and killed them. It must be to counter the flaws. As for the method, it can't be anything other than our *PE, drinking their blood, or using them as ingredients in medicine. Are you serious? Our *PE. Amongst this group of captured girls, there are more than 30 minors and over 10 under the age of 10. Are those bloodline martial artists beasts? Beasts? They're worse than beasts. F***ck, my older sister was also born during a hour of a day of a month of a year. 13 years ago, she suddenly disappeared and never came back. Although we knew that there was a high chance that she was murdered and not even her ashes were left behind, our family never imagined that she would be eaten as a tonic for another person. Ah. Although I don't want to admit it, this incident is definitely true. There is a hidden bloodline family clan in Qinghe City. They kidnapped the girls born during a hour of a day of a month of a year and used them as tonics to remove the drawbacks of their bloodline. Therefore, the girls with such birth times and dates must protect themselves. That's right. If it wasn't for OP's revelation, I wouldn't have known. My cousin was also born during a hour of a day of a month of a year. She herself, and her parents, didn't realize it either. Who could have imagined this? But I'm more curious about which family clan in the city has a bloodline inheritance. If we know who they are, wouldn't we be able to launch a citywide boycott? Although there are a lot of martial arts families in the city, there are only a few that are capable of capturing hundreds of people without anyone knowing and owning their private secret bases. Are you talking about the 5 major martial arts family clans? The Shi family of the Western District, the Li family of the Central and Eastern District, the Zhou and Wang family of the Southern District, and the Qi family of the Northern District. Cough. I'm not helping anyone clear up their name. I'm mainly here to share some information. The Li family, as we all know, is the top family clan of Qinghe City who rules over Eastern District and Central District. Their family fortune was built up when Li Nongtang, the ancestor of the current line of descendants, made it to the position of chancellor as a 7th-grade martial artist. Because of a great merit, he received the 7 calamities will mantra bestowed by Emperor Yu that time and became a martial art family. The 7 calamities will mantra was profound and difficult to cultivate. Starting from Old Master Li, for 4 generations, no one had succeeded in cultivating it. However, a genius emerged in their 5th generation and relied on the 7 calamities will mantra to cultivate to the 3rd grade. Therefore, among the 5 martial arts families, the Li family can first be eliminated. They do not have a bloodline legacy. In that case, the Qi family can be eliminated as well. Everyone knows that the Qi family's might comes from combat beasts. They have 3 spiritual beasts and more than 1,000 tamed savage beasts. The Wang family can be ruled out too. As everyone knows, the Wang family has only risen up for less than 20 years. Although Boss Wang has many male concubines, she has no children. She has publicly announced that she would never have children in this life. The reason why she was able to rise to power was firstly because of a unique treasure, the profound water pearl, and secondly, because she became a disciple of 100 Flower Valley. In that case, That only leaves the Shi family of the Western District and the Zhou family of the Southern District. That's right. So was kidnapping girls born during a Yin hour of a Yin day of a Yin month of a Yin year to remove the drawbacks of their bloodline the work of the Shi family or the Zhou family? F***ck, the person above is so bold. Aren't you afraid that the Shi and Zhou families will find trouble with you? After all, we don't have any evidence to prove that it was either one of them who did it. What am I afraid of? My brother-in-law is a direct descendant of the Li family, Li Shinka. You're awesome. This matter had blown up. It was becoming bigger and bigger. Apart from leading the discussion, Su Jingxing did not interfere again. It was completely the various experts in analyzing and imagining things who kept digging deeper and deeper, before locking onto the Shi family of the Western District and the Zhou family of the South District. Capturing girls born during a Yin hour of a Yin day of a Yin month of a Yin year to our *pe them, drink their blood or use as ingredients in medicine. Was it the Shi family or the Zhou family who did these inhumane things? Although these two families were both well-known martial arts families in Qinghe City with legacies of more than 100 years, they were unlike the Li, Wang and Qi family who had a clear history of their uprising. This was especially true for the Wang family. Although it was said to be a martial arts family, it was just Boss Wang alone. Boss Wang's real name was Wang, Taidao Wan. Her name was special and her figure was also abnormally burly. She was nearly 1.9 meters tall. Her looks were not bad, but neither could she be called beautiful. Before she became famous, she was a laborer on the streets. She relied on her natural Herculean strength to make a living by doing strenuous work. Because of a fortuitous encounter, she obtained the profound water pearl and fused this unique treasure with her body. By the time others wanted to kill her and seize this treasure, Boss Wang had already caught the eye of an elder from a major sect in Yunation, the 100-Flower Valley, and was taken as a disciple. This elder was not in the middle ranks but in the top ranks. She was also an expert among experts in other countries. With her backing, Boss Wang was able to break out of the crisis, develop in Qinghe City and expand her family. Although she was a woman, Boss Wang was open-minded and generous. The only thing she was denounced for was marrying hundreds of men. Handsome ones, sissy ones, big and tall ones, skinny ones, fair-skinned ones, tanned ones. In short, Boss Wang had collected all kinds of beautiful men. Some people were impressed, some disgusted, some envious. In any case, Boss Wang was very famous. As for her family, they were just some poor relatives. Unlike the Shi family and Zhou family, influential and in big numbers. There were hundreds of juniors. Everyone had their own guesses as to who it was. Of course, most of them were more reserved with their comments. Those without any backing would not dare to mention names. With such a massive wave of public opinion, the Shi and Zhou families naturally paid attention to it. The Zhou family was still alright. Other than refuting rumors, all they did was give strict warnings. But the Shi family was both shocked and flustered. Bam! A vase that had been treasured for hundreds of years was thrown onto the ground and smashed into pieces by Shi Jinyan. Who is it? Shi Jinyan, who had been worried because of the destruction of his base, had a terribly grim expression on his face. His eyes were spitting fire, as though he was about to eat someone alive. He growled, "Who is it that keeps going against us? Go and investigate. Find out who it is." The hall was silent. Every Shi family member present didn't look good. They were either furious, flustered, or terrified. The Shi family's biggest secret had been exposed. Even though it hadn't been completely leaked, most of the information was exactly as the netizens had guessed. They did indeed rely on absorbing the blood from the hearts of virgins born during a Yin hour of a Yin day of a Yin month of a Yin year to remove this drawback. The reason why the secret was a secret was that outsiders did not know about it. Now that the entire city was aware of this matter and everybody was discussing it, how could they not panic? Was it the Shi family or the Zhou family? Ordinary people might not be able to tell the difference, but to some people, it was very easy to judge. In other words, the fact that the Shi family were bloodline martial artists had already been exposed to some people. This consequence was extremely serious to the point where chaos could erupt at any time, and affect the entire Shi family. On the surface, Shi Jinyan was furious, but in reality, he was also a little flustered inwardly. However, as the patriarch, he could not show any weakness at this time. 9. You've always been in charge of the web. What's going on? It's been almost a day and you still haven't suppressed the matter. Shi Jinyan took a deep breath, turning his head to look at a middle-aged beauty as he questioned her in a deep voice. The beautiful woman's name was Shi Jinyue. Presently, she was a little pale, and her eyes flickered with fear. Upon hearing the question, she took a deep breath, gritted her teeth, and replied, "The person who leaked the news is an expert. An IT expert." The other party hacked into all the forums and communities in the city and pinned the two most crucial articles. No matter how our men delete them, they can't be deleted, unless... Unless what? Shi Jinyan's face darkened. Unless we shut down the server. Shi Jinyue sighed. As long as the server is still open, our men can't do anything. Then shut it. Yes, at a time like this, who cares about the websites and market value? When the others heard this, they began to reprimand her. It's useless. Shi Jinyue shook her head. There are tens of thousands of local websites in Qinghe City. We can only restrict 1/10 of them. Even if we shut down our own servers, the other websites and media are still discussing the matter. The Shi family was dumbfounded. Then what should we do? An old man was stunned. Are we just going to watch the public opinion continue like this? In the end, will we be completely exposed? Of course not. Shi Jinyue took a deep breath and said in a low voice, "Public opinion and the topic of discussion can be changed. Right now, everyone's attention is on this matter because of the group of people who were captured. The sensation caused by this has yet to dissipate, and the person who leaked the news deliberately did some steering to result in a huge commotion. As long as we expose something big that everyone can relate to, we can quickly change the topic, and the sensation of our matter will gradually ease. At that time, we can find the person hiding behind the scenes, and we can put things right once and for all." What do you mean? The elder who asked the question was stunned once more. Shi Jinyue did not reply and only looked towards Shi Jinyan. The latter remained silent. The rest of the people who came back to their senses were shocked too. 9. There's no need to sacrifice so much, right? A middle-aged man sighed. If you don't want to reveal that matter, tell me something that will interest the entire city. Shi Jinyue pouted. The middle-aged man was speechless. You can't say that. Another man frowned. It's fine to change the topic, but since this incident has already happened. Alright, cut the crap. Shi Jinyan interrupted and said, "Go ahead with it. It's already too much, relying on our family for that matter. If it's a leak, it can reduce the losses, so it may be a good thing." Okay. When Shi Jinyue heard this, her eyes lit up and she said excitedly, "I'll take care of it right away. I'll get it done in 10 minutes. With that, she turned around and strode towards the door, disappearing from sight. Shi Jinyan was left behind in deep thought. Who is it who is targeting us behind the scenes? In the small courtyard at the foot of the mountain, Su Jingxing sat in front of the computer and smiled happily as he watched the agitation on the internet. It was unrealistic to wipe out the entire Shi family with one incident. It was a piece of cake to play with them in the dark and leave them sleepless. The Shi family also had a part to play in this controversy. They even tried to track Su Jingxing's network address. In the end, they were led by Su Jingxing to the capital's central official website and almost got caught. Trying to track Su Jingxing online could only be said to be wishful thinking. Beep beep. An alarm sounded. Again. Su Jingxing raised his eyebrows and was prepared to lead the people on a wild goose chase. He opened the message and was stunned. Greetings, Legend. We are from the Stone Annihilation Alliance. Can we befriend you? Stone Annihilation Alliance. An independent alliance. Su Jingxing was in thought. He knew about the independent alliances. Almost every country had them. Stone Annihilation Alliance. This name sounds very domineering too. World Annihilation. Hey, wait a minute. Suddenly, an idea flashed through Su Jingxing's mind. He stared at the words, Stone Annihilation Alliance, and repeated them. Stone Annihilation. Stone Annihilation. Stone Annihilation. Could it be? With these guesses, Su Jingxing, who originally wanted to ignore and close the chat, didn't follow through with the act. Instead, he quickly typed a reply. Stone Annihilation. Destroy the Sure family. Beep beep. The other party replied very quickly. That's right. The members of our alliance have relatives who have been harmed by the Sure family. Some of them are even the only survivors. We know that relying on ourselves, we will never be able to do anything to the Sure family. For this, we joined forces and formed an alliance. The purpose of the Stone Annihilation Alliance is to destroy the Sure family. Legend, you probably have a grudge against the Sure family too. Oh, ___, oh. Do I have a grudge against the Sure family? It could be considered so. However, compared to this, Su Jingxing was more curious about the existence of this Stone Annihilation Alliance. There were actually people secretly working together to destroy the Sure family. Regardless of whether this goal could be achieved, their courage was commendable. It was indeed difficult to destroy the Sure family with just one or two people. Even if a third-grade big shot was here, he could not guarantee that he would not miss a single one. This was because the Sure family was a martial arts family with a history of hundreds of years. They had many descendants in the direct and collateral lines of descendants. Qinghe City was just their headquarters. In the various functional towns, other cities, and even prefecture cities, there were active Sure family members. Annihilating the Sure family could only be said to be eliminating the main members. At most, wiping out their local members. Those who were scattered outside had to be given up. This Stone Annihilation Alliance wishes to destroy the Sure family. Were they very powerful? Even killing the local Sure family members in Qinghe City alone would still be quite difficult. At this thought, Su Jingxing typed his reply. Do you have many people? Beep beep. We do have quite a lot of people, but we don't have many martial artists. By the way, Legend, were you the one who rescued those girls who were captured by the Sure family? Beep beep. I mean, did you do so personally? Beep beep. Sorry. I'm not doubting you. I'm just curious whether you and the fourth-grade expert are the same person. Beep beep. Hoo, did I offend you? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I've always been bad with my words. I didn't know why I said that. Beep beep. Hoo, Legend, if you want to blame someone, blame me. Don't vent your anger on our alliance. We are all pitiful people. We were forced into a corner by the Sure family, so we chose to form an alliance and depend on one another. No more. Su Jingxing was enjoying the show. Why did this person suddenly stop? Did the internet get cut off, or was this person called away? Or perhaps this person realized that he or she had revealed too much information and hurriedly escaped. Judging from the language, this person who suddenly contacted him was probably an innocent young girl. Of course, it could also be a male pretending to be a female. No matter who it was, the person was from the Stone Annihilation Alliance for sure. They had many people, but not many martial artists. From this description, one could determine that the Stone Annihilation Alliance might be quite influential, but their strength should be ordinary. No matter how many ordinary people there were, since there were not many martial artists, while they could deal with ordinary people, destroying the Sure family would be expecting too much. Beep beep. The notification sounded again. Greetings, Senior. I'm sorry that our little sister's words were inappropriate and offended you. If possible, please send an account number to us and we will transfer you 100 million great U-dollars. We know that this amount of money is nothing to you, but it is a token of our sincerity. We hope that you can forgive us. Oh, another person now. Su Jingxing's interest was piqued. He read through the content, thought about it, and typed a reply. On the other side. In a spacious office with windows that were tightly covered. Who. What do I do? What do I do? Why do I have such a stupid mouth? Why do I never learn? I dare to say anything. It's over now, it's over now. A 16-year-old girl with a bowl cut and a round face sat on a chair and wailed with a mournful expression. Enough. Beside her was an oval-faced woman with fair skin. Her long hair was tied into a ponytail and she had a heroic bearing. She consoled helplessly, it has already happened. Frustration and regret are useless. What we need to do now is think of a way to make up for it. The round-faced girl rubbed her eyes and said with a sobbing tone, Sister Qian, do you think the legend will forgive me? If he really is the fourth-grade expert who broke into the Sure family's secret base at Turtleback Mountain alone, killed all the guards, and rescued Han Min and the others, he would not be so petty as to get angry with you because of a few unintentional words. In a corner of the office, a middle-aged man with a calm demeanor and a shocking scar on his right face said in a deep voice. Yes, given that big shot's character, how could he be so petty? A young man with messy hair rubbed his hands and said excitedly, that expert is simply too suave. Not only is he suave, he's also cool. He actually destroyed a secret base of the Sure family. We never dared to imagine such a thing, yet he accomplished it alone. He's simply too cool. That's right. Our alliance has been established for almost 5 years, but we've always been fighting small battles, only daring to cause trouble for the Sure family in business. Not far away from the young man, was a woman with completely white hair but a face that was still youthful. She looked exhausted and spoke softly. It's not that we're useless. Yagu, don't always deny yourself. Who here doesn't know how powerful the Sure family is? In the entire Qinghe city, other than the Li family who dares to speak out and is stronger than them, which other person or faction dares to say that they can defeat the Sure family? A man with a full beard said seriously, we've already agreed from the start that we definitely must not make unnecessary sacrifices. Targeting the businesses was the countermeasure we've discussed from the start. As long as we have enough money, so what if we lack martial artists? We can totally hire a team of assassins to find trouble with the Sure family. That's right. We don't ask to destroy the Sure family in one go. As long as we still have people alive and we continue to earn money and hire killers, the Sure family will never be at peace. That's true, but the key is that the amount of money needed to hire an assassin group is massive. Which professional assassin would dare to accept the task without $10 billion? I'm just afraid that before we earn enough money, we will be discovered by the Sure family and wiped out. The last time, Little Bing went to seek revenge on Shi Yenkong in her recklessness. She almost exposed our whereabouts and allowed the Sure family to find us. I'm sorry. The woman called Little Bing lowered her head and spoke softly. Little Bing, I'm not looking for trouble for no reason. I'm just trying to use this as an example to explain the situation to everyone. The route was earning $10 billion, and then looking for an assassin team to exterminate the Sure family has now been proven wrong, the man who spoke said with a serious expression. The entire office fell silent. That's right, they had long discovered this problem. However, they had no choice. Without relying on earning money to hire assassins and going to the Shi family by themselves was completely courting death. Every person to go would die. It would be a meaningless sacrifice. This had happened several times at the beginning of the Stone Annihilation Alliance's establishment. Thus, they agreed not to directly cause trouble for the Shi family, only going by the side or the back. The best method was to hire a group of assassins. The assassins only cared about money. As long as they had enough money, they would even dare to assassinate the Li family, the #1 martial arts family in Qinghe City, let alone the Shi family. The problem was that the Shi family was not an ordinary faction. They were a well-known martial arts family with 100 years of history. If they wished to hire assassins to deal with the Shi family, the price would be extremely high. At least 10 billion Great U dollars. U-Nation was one of the safest countries on Earth star. As such, the purchasing power of their currency, Great U dollars, was very powerful. Even a business under the Li family would take 2 to 3 years to make $10 billion of profit. It would take at least a few decades for the Stone Annihilation Alliance to scrape together the amount. Decades. They could wait, but the Shi family already knew of the existence of the Stone Annihilation Alliance and had always wanted to find them and eliminate them. Were they sure they could hold out until then? No one in the office could guarantee this. For this, no one had anything to say. They only felt deeply helpless. The sheer size of the Shi family made people feel helpless and hopeless. Ding! The computer's notification beep sounded. The round-faced girl immediately leaned over. The oval-faced woman also looked nervous. No need. This is a small matter. It's not offensive. Huh, the legend is the legend. I knew it, why would the legend blame me? The round-faced girl cheered, clapping her hands as she stood up and walked in circles on the empty space beside her. Phew! The oval-faced woman let out a sigh of relief. Then, she smacked the round-faced girl sulkily. You still dare to speak? Remember, be more mindful of what you say in the future, don't spill everything. Hee, Sister Qian, don't worry. I promise that I'll ask you before I say anything in the future. The round-faced girl hugged the oval-faced woman's shoulder in a fawning manner. TSK, how many times have you said that? The young man with messy hair rolled his eyes at her. Then, he looked at the oval-faced woman and said excitedly, Qian, try asking this IT master if he's the 4th-grade expert who destroyed a secret base of the Shi family. No, the bearded man said unhappily, little you, can you not add to the trouble? How can we casually ask such a question? I'm just curious. The young man smiled awkwardly. If the two of them are the same person, that would be even cooler. They would be unbelievably charming. A 4th grade in martial arts, with godly IT skills. If such an expert joins us, then we have a chance of revenge. We don't have to wait decades. As soon as he finished speaking, he looked at everyone in the office and whistled. Hee, don't tell me you people don't have such thoughts. Cough cough. I don't. Don't spout nonsense. Right, when did I say something like that? When the others heard this, they all shook their heads and expressed that they were being wronged. Come on. When the young man heard this, he looked at everyone in disdain and grinned. Is it fun to deceive yourself and others? I was wondering why the atmosphere has been so weird for the past 2 days. So you guys were thinking of this idea to attract this 4th grade expert to join us. Hee, you guys are really bold with your ideas, but I'm even bolder. Not only do I want this big shot to join us, I also want to acknowledge him as my master. Tisk. The crowd, who had been embarrassed at first, started jeering when they heard the last sentence. They looked at the young man with disdain. Become his disciple. Wishful thinking. Dream on, no, it's impossible even in a dream. Stop fooling around, the legend has replied again. The round-faced girl suddenly shouted. Do you dare to take a big gamble? The round-faced girl finished reading the contents word by word and asked doubtfully, "What does this mean?" The oval-faced woman was also puzzled. She typed a reply, "You mean wiping out the Shi family, of course." Su Jingxing replied, "Don't all of you have a feud with the Shi family? Do you dare to pay with your lives just to take revenge on the Shi family? Take a big gamble. Beep beep. Legend, do you have any good ideas?" Still didn't understand. Su Jingxing pursed his lips and typed a reply. "Let me ask, do you people dare to sacrifice yourselves to destroy the Shi family?" "Yes. That's it." Su Jingxing chuckled and continued to reply, "That's good. I have a way to make the Shi family suffer heavy casualties and destroy their foundation. But the risk is huge and you might die any time. Beep beep. Senior, please feel free to speak your mind. From the moment our alliance was established, everyone was prepared to be sacrificed. We just don't want to make unnecessary sacrifices. If we can destroy the Shi family, we are willing to die for it. Gutsy." Su Jingxing smiled and was about to reply when suddenly, more than 10 web pages popped up on his computer. On each web page, a post had popped up forcefully. On them were eye-catching titles. Jean Mushin's treasure is hidden underground of the Sky Water River bank. Qinghe City's treasure that you don't know about. Shocking. Turns out there is a 100-year-old treasure buried beneath the Qinghe City. Breaking news. Breaking news. A 100-year-old treasure has appeared. Everyone, go and pick up the money. The headlines were very eye-catching and people couldn't wait to click on them.